1. Natumai kwamba uko salama, umeamka vizuri. Kama unakimbia pale ofisini, tayari ushafika ofisini. Kama unaenda jua kali, utafuta natumai kwamba tayari ushafika pale kwenye vibanda. It's another morning. It's a Wednesday morning, very cold and chilly in Nairobi. Na pia the traffic is crazy. Children are back to school. Incidents on the road are just on another level. The weather is crazy. Anyway, uko salama mahali ulipo. Karibu sana kwenye Tackle This Siasa Wednesday. Na leo tuko na Governor MUCHENDU kama kawaida na Janet RUTHUKU ambaye anajumuika na sisi leo kwa mara ya kwanza. Ya Tackle Siasa Wednesday being the 12th May of 2021. Siasa Wednesday 12th May 2021. Now that I request as usual that when you join in, please like. When you like, I get to know that you're watching us, and after you like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is a Tackle, and the Tackle begins now. Lakini kama kawaida, kabla tuanze kazi, lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu tukirudi na kuja kwa hapa salamu zenu. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity to see a new day. We thank you for this morning. We thank you for our lives. We thank you for families. We thank you for this program. As we start off, you're going to be with us, and even as we speak to the nation, may we edify and add to the fabric of this country. Even the tacklers who are joining us, may you meet them at their point of needs. As the panelists that we join in, may they be able to speak live to us and also to guide us in the best way possible. Start off with us. When you finish, glory and honor shall come back to your name. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray and believe. Amen and amen. Haya, ana kuna wananchi wameamka hapa mapema tayari. Munga Luta continues. Good morning, team Tackle, tuning in from Coventry, United Kingdom. It is indeed a day to be alive and be part of the show. Asante sana. Thank you so much, Munga Luta continue. It's great to see you again. Salimia watu wa United Kingdom, watu wa Coventry na Warwick. Is it Warwick or Warwick? Anyway, I say hi to everybody there. Okay, naona Migwi Kimunya Sera Sansema hello sir. Good morning to you sir. Abida KE live from Keses constituency. Asante sana. Sankara Kiprop Kibor tuned in from Eldoret with a lot of rain. Hapa pia ni kubaya. There's a lot of rain down here as well. Johnson Koech anasema good morning. Good morning to you. Rashid Abdallah anasema jamaa Roger live. Roger. Salimia watu wa Montel Con pale. James Mutinda good morning. Pitoko watching from Sentikumi Likoni Mombasa. Asante sana, shukuru sana kukuona kaka, umepotea lakini. Silas Kia anasema good morning to you. Keep quiet Kibet tuned in from Mombasa, Kenya. It's been a while. Good to see you. Keep quiet Kibet, karibu tena. Maureen Cody tuned in. Asante. Clenis Kose anasema you are in. Good morning Jeremy. Good morning to you Clenis. Karoki wa Masi anasema tuned in following from Kayole. Watu wangu wa Nyeri, amkeni ngao mvua ni nyingi. Haya, kila mahali ni kubaya. Be safe on the roads, please drive slowly. The roads are not as safe as they usually are when it's the dry season. So tafadhali nenda pole pole, endesha gari pole pole, usikuwe na haraka. Today nimeona a lot of incidents on Mombasa Road. Not Mombasa Road, Ngong Road. Kuna jamaa amepanda pavement, yule kwa anaenda wapi? I don't know. Anyway, mambo ya barabara ina wazimu wake pia. Dominic Ruta anasema tuned in from Paris. Good to see you my brother. Mwangi wa Weru anasema good morning. Jana ulituangusha bro, tuned in from Juja. Poleni sana bwana. Hata mimi nilitumanishwa wakili, sasa mimi nitafanya nini? Na mimi issue ni ya wananchi. Wakitumanwa mimi tu lazima niongee nao. Lakini ni sawa, alijaribu kidogo, alijikaza. So let's keep encouraging him to be better. Brian Kipkoech anasema good morning team Tackle. Good morning to you my brother. Good to see you. Asante sana all the way from Texas, United States of America. Kipkali Arab Coast kama tuning from Ruiru. Good morning my brother GB, tuko pamoja. BBI naona inapitishwa by force by fire, but sisi kama hustlers tulijipanga ipite, tuko sawa, ianguke tuko sawa. Tayari maanza kuwa sawa tena. Rege mliamua msimamishi. Vincent Cross kama tuning from Moyale. Asante Waruguru Kiai, good to see you. Anasema tuning from Nyeri. Umeenda Nyeri lini? Nilisikia ulifununu ulikuwa Nairobi. Anyway, good morning to you Waruguru Kiai. Stanley Samuel anasema niko locked in from Nakuru. Asante. Evan Sarap Serone, good morning GB from Nakuru. Franco Moi anasema Baringo tuko ndani. Just Mwanda good morning, tuned in from Meru Rangers. It's raining cats and dogs. Huku sasa ni cats and dogs and they're all families. Esbarido Mudhe anasema tuned in from Narok. Asante Lawrence Chege tuned in from Thika. Immaculate Cherono good morning Mama Africa. Good morning to you Cosmas Chumba. Good morning to you my brother. King Junior anasema good morning from County 036 Desmond Mutungu Ngugi. Good morning to you Loshamu Roti Junior anasema morning Gerald Bito tuned in from Nairobi CBD. Good to see you my brother. Emmanuel Serem mwenyewe anasema good morning from 001. Haya, ulitaremka lini baba? Karibu sana. Anthony Kashuka anasema Dr. Hook watching from Dogodho Kikuya. Asante sana, thank you so much daktari. Pia nilipatana na chief wa inaitwa nini? Mushata. Moses Kamau. Salipokea salamu sana. Ni fan wa Tako. I think rafiki ya Mushendu. Nilikuwa nimeenda pale Avila.
What are you doing in Mushada in the first place, man?
Nilikuwa nimeenda pale Avila. Kuna mahali ruaka inaitwa Avila. So niliona picha Facebook. Inaitwa Avila. Niliona Facebook.
Kuna candidate ya Kiambaa, unajua the owner of Avila is a candidate in Kiambaa by election.
Who is the owner?
Naitwa Lena Koinange.
I was looking for lunch bwana. Sasa nikaona Facebook, nikaona hapa kuna kaa kuzuri. Lakini kufika pale is a shell, so I left, nikaenda inaitwa nini, nikaenda Brackenhurst huko Limuru, nikaenda pale kwa mlima Brackenhurst. Lakini sasa pale Avila nilipatana na Moses. Sasa Moses hapo chief Moses Kamau
chief
wa Mushata. Yakaniambia
sana. Ni mtu digital sana.
Mtu shwari kabisa. Nilimwenda ndo nitembelea ofisini. Jamaa swali kaanza anafuatilianga show. Tukazungumza naye kidogo. Nikauliza mambo ya Kiambaa inakaaje? Juu inakaaje mtatuambia. Lakini mimi nikajiandaa lunch yangu, siku nataka siasa. Nikaenda kwa milima huko nikakula lunch. Bas. Alafu nikarudi, lakini watu wa Kiambu si watu wabaya, ni watu wazuri ambao wanafuata tackle. Hiyo ndio kitu ya maana. This guy is good morning watching from Baraton. Asante Kandie Kipkorir Zabeta. Good morning GB calling from Mountain View. Good to see you. John Ndiki Wanaina tuned in from Nairobi. Tona just Kuruma watching from Katanga. Asante sana. Moranga Jackson Samuel, good morning from Moiben. Sergoita. Asante sana to Moiben. Aber Kapombe anasema from Mulolongo. Samuel Washira morning. Washira from Samburu tuned in. Peter MB anasema good morning to tackle watching from Malindi. Mwangi Simon Gasman Salimia P Mushendu. Kolimo Tubes anasema morning from Thika Town. Anthony Kashungu anasema hi Bitok Salimia Governor Mushendu sana by Dr. Hook. Haya Daktari Hook, sijui na Hook nini.
Dr. Hook anatoka huko Thogoto. Ni shabiki mkubwa sana wa the taco. And he's also an opinion shaper from that area. Yes.
Okay. Sema Mushendu, habari ya wiki?
Mimi niko salama kabisa. Just a little bit under the weather kidogo, kahoma kidogo. Limuru as usual. Jeve imekuja na watoto na teshesho. It's crazy. And I want to plead with anybody heading to Naivasha using the Nairobi Nakuru highway from Limuru going onward all the way to Naivasha. Exercise caution, drive slowly, and it's foggy. It is almost not clear at all. So those guys using that direction, please take care. Exercise caution and drive safely, and you will be able to kufika. Si lazima ukimbie
kabisa, watu waende pole pole. Si ati ukiharakisha utafika jana, utafika leo tu.
Exactly. Otherwise I'm good. Limuru is okay. BBI ilipita bunge.
Nasikia itapita kwa wananchi, nasikia hata uliokoka, nasikia pia hata umerudi kwa ndani.
No, I know there are people especially from me and my friend here. We are from a group called Mount Kenya Shepherds. And I know some people are waiting there for Mushendu to be born again this morning. I'm still skeptical about BBI. That has not changed. Nonetheless, we see, I have seen people critic Parliament for passing the BBI, but I tell the people is in the Article 1 of the Constitution, you have been given mandate to exercise your right and the power of this Constitution directly or indirectly, and indirectly you entrusted your readers to go in Parliament and vote on your behalf, and they have voted on your behalf because you have given them that power to vote the way they voted. And I think it is important to actually appreciate the democratic space members of Parliament have been given in Bunge. I want to believe everybody who voted there was very sane. But
I didn't give my senator my mandate.
You did.
I did not.
You did.
I never told her to vote on my behalf.
You did, my friend. When that BBI came to your county, I know you are from Moiben is in Kericho.
Wasingishu.
Yes, when that BBI came to the county assembly of Wasungishu, it was subjected to a public participation. And subsequently, your MCS went and passed it. Wasungishu didn't pass. So unfortunate. But the point here is, the moment you elected your senator, you gave him the right to exercise part of the rights given to you in the Constitution, that assembly. It's only that entire Kenyan, we cannot fit in the August House. We have to give some people the leeway to go and exercise these rights on our behalf. So it doesn't matter whether he talked to you when BBI came. In 2017, you gave him your vote.
Alisema on behalf of the people of Wasingishu County. I'm part of them.
But you see, at the end of the day, Bitok, do you know that even if Parliament said no, it will still have come to the people?
Okay. Yes. So you wait for the voice of the people.
That's the truth. In fact, that particular process of passing the Constitution that is called the Popular Initiative only speaks about what we call simple majority. Because the final decision does not lie with Parliament. It lies with the people. So Parliament actually, even if they did not agree, that bill whichever way it would have been subjected to the people, for the people to decide. So BBI is now officially is now officially given to the people. We are waiting to see the judgment that will come tomorrow from the courts, because the courts has adjudicated on that matter, and they will now give their final decision tomorrow, and we will see how the BBI goes.
Okay.
But I told you, and I have always told you, that this thing, it will be by force,
by fire, by turn. Okay, kabla sijapea dada yetu hapa, naona kuna Colin Motius nasema ni from Thika Town. Anthony Kashunga aibito salimia Governor Muchendu sana, bado nimeona Kipchumba hapo ambako all the way from Australia anasema iko ndani. Asante sana. Dennis Ndumbi anasema vipi wakubwa, bwana Yesu asifiwe sana, mwadhani aragocho. Alan Kogo anasema good morning.
Naambia Dhombe anunue chai kanisa
bwana, mwanza venye baridi atoe fungu tukule. Good morning. Curious that we spend more time congratulating students who have succeeded than encouraging students who have not. Alan Kogo tuned in from the Green Town. Asante sana. Mimi nilisema jana, hongera kwa wale ambao walifanya vizuri na wale pia ambao hawawezi kuweza kufikisha max. Sio tu kufanya vizuri, kufikisha max. I want to tell you that the world, kuna shule pia inaitwa shule ya maisha. Karibu sana, labda you'll do better here. Usually happens all the time. Anthony Jones sama tuned in from Westland, say I to P Muchendo. Ricky Nanjero, hey, good to see you my brother. Mtu wa jazz anasema watching from Nairobi. Asante sana Ricky Nanjero. It's back, but at least wamefungua turudi tukuje tusikie jazz. Asante sana Abedi Pop Kapop. Anasema pop, anasema not Kapombe but Kapop. Pole sana Kapop. I'm MC Aspirant and I'm good morning GB, tuned in from Annex, just moved in recently from Kipchabo. Karibu sana Eldoret. Kusimba Desam, good morning from Mombasani, Kenya. Dennis Ndume anauliza, what about us using choppers bro? Kwa mambo ya barabara. Pole sana, hata pia huko skies is the worst. Tafadhali hiyo chopper yako Dennis Ndume usiamshe.
Let him be told. There is no helicopter that can be cleared with this weather. So let him sit
akaya na chopper yake nyumbani.
Na hizo machopa zake.
Kaa na chopper yako nyumbani bwana. Bure itashuka kama tutura. Haya, kwa Ngware Andega anasema good morning Pitokiani, unakuja tu hapa Brackenhurst bila kufika Tigoni. Don't repeat that. Ndakuja.
Brackenhurst iko Tigoni bwana.
Iko Tigoni, actually Tigoni. So nilikuwa Tigoni, Brackenhurst iko Tigoni. So weekend ndakuja tena tafutana pale tukunywe chai. Abigail Wanjiru Gikonyo, the lady in red. Mwisho alikuwa hapa aliitwa the lady in red. Good morning to Mr. Bitok. Greetings to Miss Ruthuku, tuned in from Rainy, Kiambu County. Asante sana, good to see you Habi. Dennis nasema wacha Muchendu, wewe umegeuka bwana. Inasema kama umegeuka bwana. Tumesikia mambo yako. Nasema we document was subjected to public participation.
Mimi siwezi geuka, I can't.
Candy Joy anasema you are short chained by our leaders. MC Kalia, good morning chairman. Menokisha Kettle Dip. Dennis anasema fungua bunge la mwananchi we debate. Sasa hivi tutafungua bunge. Moses kama sema I stopped arguing with pro BBI guys the day I realized they have numbers. Well, Tanga have them on Facebook. I took a sabbatical leave from active politics to consult. Philip Lima sema kitana ilo DKJ kwanza good morning gentlemen. Asante. Dianga Obara sema good morning, I'm from Mundanyi. Moses kama wapi huyu Nyarani amethumi. Nyarari amethumi sijui ni nani. Haya. Sawa. Ndio huyu hapa. Ni wewe? Ndio wewe. Haya, Vicky Nemse anasema from Kiambu Kisii Bwagire, from Keumbu in Kisii County Bwagire Bamito. Bwagire ba David Kamau tuned in as usual. Good work GB, watching before nilale. Asante sana Kaka Jones. Kaka Jones sema from Ruaka, salimia my political crush Janet. Sema kimaumana. Wangi sema Ndei well represented Samuel Washira who did public participation. Nothing like that was done. Was it tudanganye? Ntumi asa Muchendu has become soft on BBI. Ame backslide. Umekunywishwa Muna na Ngunjiri. Muma na nini? Haya sawa Janet. Karibu.
It's like a north. It's actually a north.
It's good to see you. This is your first time on Atako.
Asante sana Bitok. This is my first time here. And it's an interesting conversation that we are having. And for starters, the first thing that I'm going to say is to welcome Muchendu. To welcome Muchendu. Yesterday we were having a discussion on that group that he's saying it's called Mount Kenya Shapers. And it's true, we are shaping Mount Kenya. And having him on board, it's just a confirmation that this Mount Kenya is being shaped. And it's been quite an interesting week where we had Super Tuesday yesterday, and we saw the MPs, the senators going to vote for the BBI bill, where we had 51 voting in favor and 12 voting against, and we had Kindiki abstaining. One thing I'm going to say is that we've come from far, from where we started with the BBI bill, and now where we're headed. The next step now, as Mushendu was saying, is going to the people.
So now it's Mushendu being referred to in Matters BBI.
Yes, on Matters BBI, it's going to the people. And there is only one thing that I am in contention with. Just the way you were saying that you did not send your senator to vote for you.
I did not.
I don't think I sent my senator Kangata to vote for me, and he voted against. I don't think I sent my member of parliament, Dindi Nyoro, to vote against it.
So we all agree that we never sent these guys to vote for us.
I did not send
even
them.
Those who voted for yes.
Let me say this. You see, when you're voting on behalf of the people, let's say we go to referendum. Will the votes that your constituents vote in favor or against be equivalent to the vote that you voted in parliament? Let's say now, if we come to Kiharu constituency, where my member of parliament voted against the BBI bill, and then when we come to referendum, the majority of the people in Kiharu constituency vote in favor of the referendum. Will we then say that Dendi Nyoro went to parliament to advance his own agenda? If we come to my county, which is Murang'a, and a majority of the people vote in favor of the BBI, will we then say that my senator, Irongo Kangata, went to advance his own agenda in Senate yesterday? Because you see, a county like Murang'a, we are getting one extra constituency, because now we will have 70 new constituencies.
Okay.
And if we get an extra constituency, that constituency will come from Kiharu, because now Kiharu will be divided into two. And we've been singing this song of one man, one vote, one shilling. And somebody like Kangata, somebody like Moses Kuria, somebody like Dendi Nyoro, they were the people on the forefront of advancing the one man, one shilling, one vote. Look at somebody like Senator Kihika. Senator Kihika is somebody who wants to vie for the gubernatorial seat come 2022. Nakuru County was getting 5 extra constituencies. 5 extra constituencies. Then she was also one of the people who are advancing the one man, one shilling, one vote. How exactly do you tell me this is somebody who engaged her constituents and tell them, you know what, I am not going to vote in favor of the BBI and I will just throw 5 constituencies to the drain? What exactly was going through this person's mind? Yet you come to the people and tell them, we want to advance the agenda of one man, one shilling, one vote. And those are some of the injustices that we are trying to correct, because some of these constituencies are highly populated. And there is no way you can compare a constituency like Kiharu, which has close to 150,000 voters, and then we have almost I don't know the exact number of the population of the people in Kiharu. Then you go to a constituency in Northeastern, which has like 15,000 voters, and then these 2 constituencies each is given the same amount of money for the CDF. What kind of justice is that? Because one constituency has 150,000 voters, and let's say the other one has 15,000 voters. There is no justice giving this constituency that has 15,000 voters 100 million, and giving a constituency that has 150,000 voters the same allocation. Because I think we should get away from where the allocation is based on the landmass. We go to the way of allocation being on the population in these constituencies. And those are some of the injustices that the BBI is trying to correct.
So what if I agree with some proposals in the BBI and I don't agree with some? Am I allowed to choose? Maybe I say I want the constituencies, I want this, but I don't want 1, 2, 3. Is it possible?
You see, there is no one point in time where we will have a constitution that you agree with wholly.
Because this is an amendment. This is an amendment. It's not a new constitution.
Yes, it's an amendment. Yes. And we are amending that which has not been working for us. You see, in another 10 years, we will say, you know what, this constitution that was promulgated in 2010, this one thing is not working for us, this other thing is not working for us. And what do? We change again. We change again.
So this is the business of the day.
No, it's not really a business. It's just trying to work around what is working for us as a people. Because you remember, our constitution has highly borrowed the U.S. Constitution. No, is it the British or the U.S.?
The
no,
British.
The British Constitution. It has highly borrowed on it. So we have to work as a nation, because now we are independent. As a nation, what is working for us as a people? Because there is no way we can have a constitution that is highly borrowed from the British system and it's not working for us. Okay. So we just look at, this is working for us, this is not working for us. And it's the sovereignty of the people. We go back to the people and we ask them, is this working for you? Is it not? If you say it's not working for us, we change. If it's working for us, it remains. And that is where democracy comes in. Yes.
Muchendu, now that they have confirmed that you have been saved, you have had a Damascus moment. And Janet has already baptized you. Nimeshaka kwa umechelewa leo. Kumbe bado ulikuwa una
last week and yesterday, you realize that as much as we want to stay away from our communities, most of the voting boils down to my community. That's basically what happened. So I think for me is that the Constitution of Kenya is a progressive document. And we have never been in doubt that we keep on revolving, and as we revolve, we must get a document that addresses the issues that we require. Nonetheless, I have been skeptical and I remain skeptical of the process. And I have never deviated from that talk from the first time I started talking about BBI. I do not think that the process we use to change our constitution is the right process. I've never deviated from that. I think the leadership of this country has abused the process of popular initiative.
Muchendu, what should be the process?
You see, my sister, I am one person who gives everyone an opportunity to exercise your space and prosecute your points. So when I am doing that, I also like being given that.
It was just a question in the moment.
Yes.
For you to explain what should be the process, because you're saying that process is flawed.
What was in the mind of the drafters of the 2010 Constitution when they provided a parliamentary initiative and a popular initiative? A popular initiative is supposed to be a process used by Wanjiku, whose readers has failed him. That's the ideally of having a popular initiative. A popular initiative was not supposed to be an initiative that was going to be used government. It was an avenue given to Wanjiku to address issues that they think the readers have failed. There is a reason why we have parliamentary. There are two ways of changing our constitution. We have the parliamentary initiative, which government, with its leader of government and business in the house being the majority leader, could have used to change the constitution. The popular initiative is given to Wanjiku just in case the government does not do what you feel they should do. You have a leeway to address the issues in the constitution. But in this case, we have the government of the day using the popular initiative as the means and the ways to actually mutilate our constitution. And I will say this, and there is something Bitok you have said. I have insisted, and I want records to bear me right, that in that particular document there are good things that we agree with Bitok. There is, I will be very honest, I am one person who has never been opposed to issues of equal representation. Because from the time we started mutilating the first constitution we had in 1982, then the central region and population has not been addressed. That's the truth. We only had the President Moi create a small Madhia constituency for his lieutenant, Joseph Kamodo. So, but equally, we need to be represented. How we would be represented, that is subject that I was open for discussion, whether it is adding constituencies or it is introducing courage vote. I agree we need to have equal representation. That is something that because I feel, and this is my submission, in this nation, Bitok, we do not have majority community. What we have in this country is what we call substantive minorities. We don't have a community that is a majority in this country. Kikuyus are simply what you call substantive minority. Luhias, Luos, Karenjins are what you call substantive minorities. We do not have a majority community in this country. And that being the case, we would require a government that is equally representing every community in this country. That means we as the people of the mountain would require to be represented well in that august house, whether it is by adding members of parliament or it is by introducing a correct vote. The question here is whether we were represented well or whether our population is counting in the matters in that assembly that are going to address how the resources in this country are going to be distributed. Nonetheless, that particular document also presents challenges that some of the things that they intend to change in that constitution are going to take away some of the gains that we have gained. Between 1992 and 2002, the biggest victims of mutilation of the constitution and misuse of corridors of justice are people from the Mount Kenya region. And today, we are going to bring BBI to the people that we introduce what we call a judicial watchdog. That is not answerable to the judiciary. It is answerable to the executive. And that means that executive now gets a leeway to actually interfere with the justice system of this country. That is something we cannot shy away from. And you have said very well, my dear, that we cannot agree on all those things. Why do you people expect us to agree with BBI 100% without questioning some of the things that did not go well? I'll be very honest. We will go to the days. I remember one time I was working for George Nyanja, the former Limuru Member of Parliament, and we were doing the AGM, the DP AGM here at Bomas of Kenya. And Nyanja was arrested that morning around 9. We had to look for him for 3 days. And eventually, it's called habeas corpus, was issued at night at 10 in the night in the raw courts here. That is where we will go back. We are going back to the judicial process where judgment are issued at night because when you have a judicial watchdog who is answerable to the executive, who is going to intimidate the judges, what makes you think that the judges are not going to do what the executive want? We may agree Kiambu is receiving 6 constituencies. There is a likelihood that Limuru constituency, where I come from, might be split into 2. And finally, my home village, Kondeya, will become a constituency. I agree. The sound
so
of
every village will become a constituency.
No, you know, Deya is a ward.
Following for my village.
Deya ward, a ward alone is 146 square kilometers. That is twice Kabete constituency in terms of service area. It's the only place that is around 30 kilometers from Nairobi where people are building, unasikia Nairobi Dogo and everything. So the idea of Deya becoming a constituency is very nice because finally MUCHENDU might just decide to vie for a member of parliament.
Like a village MP.
Nonetheless, as much as that sounds good, we must also investigate other proposals in that BBI. And that is why some of us were behind William Ruto when he was saying we have multiple questions. Because I believe in that document there are things that needs to be done because this nation is a progressive nation. It is, we have to address our issues as they come. We have to address our laws as we grow. But then, that particular document also has some things that some of us do not feel comfortable about. And therefore, what you have given us what the Bible says. You know, there was time Jesus was told that in your organization, kuna watu wako na madoa, and he said, muache the wheat and the grain to grow together, and we will separate them when we go to heaven. Now, since BBI, we are not taking BBI to heaven, how do we separate the good things in that document and some of the bad? Because I'm telling you, the moment you have even a slightest margin of interference of the justice system in this country, that makes all the other achievement within the document questionable. Because if I cannot vote for the constituencies and not vote for the judiciary interference and say no to it, then I am left in a quagmire.
Okay, let me ask you, Janet, when we argue that it's good for a region, it's good for a region, we're not a federal government. It's not like we have federal governments that operate with these regions. So when we argue that a national document is good for a certain region and that's what should be passed, where does it leave every other region?
You see, Bitok.
Because I've seen that is argument flying. We are getting this. It's good for us, good for the region. What happens to every other region?
You see, Bitok.
Because this is actually a document that's supposed to build bridges. We're talking about building bridges initiative.
Yes,
We're
talking about building bridges.
So how are you going to build the bridges across?
And now, as a person, when you engage in each and everything that you're doing, you have to ask yourself, what is in it for me? And we have to agree that politics in this country, it's local. So when I go to my locality, the people around me, what are they benefiting? What is it that they are getting from it? So it's not like it's only Mount Kenya region is benefiting. That is where my interest is. Okay. My interest is in Mount Kenya region. Are my people benefiting? Are we at peace with other tribes?
But how can you be at peace when you're only thinking about yourself?
If I go to Kisumu, will I be and start my business there? Will my business thrive? If I go to Eldoret and I start a business there, will my business thrive? And if all these things are looked at, because now we've built bridges in such a way that it's not only Mount Kenya region that is benefiting. There's so many.
Because that has been the argument. Because Janet,
Mount Kenya region is only getting how many additional constituencies? Is it 12?
Out of 70, what are they getting?
I think they are about 12. I'll check before we leave and then I'll confirm. They're about 12. You go to Nakuru County. Nakuru is not in Central Province. It's getting 5, and that's a county on its own. When we come to Nairobi County, how many are they getting? I think around 16 constituencies. If we go to Nyanza, they're also getting extra constituencies. Go to Coast, they're getting extra constituencies. And the reason why they're getting these extra constituencies is because their regions, some constituencies have to be split simply because the representation, because the threshold of every constituency is usually around is it 133,000 or 150,000 constituents. That is the threshold, and you will find that some constituencies have exceeded this threshold twofold. So what will be done to these people so that there can be equitable sharing of the resources from the national government? These constituencies have to be split. So it's everybody who is benefiting. And I will disagree with something MUCHENDU said, that the process of coming up with this BBI bill has been flawed. Because if you remember a while back...
Is the government allowed to sponsor a popular initiative? Because it's a government project.
What do you mean it's a government? But it's BBI. The people's project. Because you remember there's a time they came to Meru, they went to Mombasa, they went to Machakos, they literally went around the country.
Who initiated the process?
Sorry?
Who initiated the process?
The governors were part of it. The people were part of it. Everybody was involved. Every stakeholder was involved in this process, so that the people in the Mount Kenya region can come up with their proposals. The Coast region can come up with their proposals. The Ukambani region can come up with their proposals. And all these proposals, when they are put together, that is where the BBI bill was born. And then you remember, it is not the government that is voting for this bill. At the end of the day, the will of the people will prevail. So there is no way you can say we are changing the constitution. Yet a majority of the people, if the BBI bill passes, if a majority of the people endorses it, that means there is a need to change.
Space for the people.
Yes, there is a need to change some of these things. And like we all say, we cannot all agree that this document is 100%. There are some things that will sit well with me and they will not sit well with you. There are things that will sit well with you. They don't sit well with me. So what is it that we are going to do to make this document have a national look? Take it to the people. And people all over the country are going to vote for it. And they will make a decision. So at the end of the day, we will have an amendment of the constitution that has been endorsed by people, or they shut it down. And there's nothing that we are going to do about it, because at the end of the day, it's a constitutional process, and there is nothing we can do about it when it goes to the people.
Okay, so because before I hand it back to MUCHENDU, let me ask you two questions, Janet. One is, What are some of the issues that you think are not okay with the BBI as a proponent of BBI, as a pro-BBI?
As a proponent,
What are some of the issues
BBI?
that you have with the document?
Let me see. Some of the things that I'm not, that do not sit well with me. I would not point into one, because when we come to issue of representation and the additional 70 constituencies, that sits well with me, and that is one of the major things that is in the BBI.
So you don't have any problem with the document? Any other?
As it stands, I do not have any issue with the BBI bill as it stands.
100%.
I do not.
Okay. Now you've talked about Kenyans that would agree with one thing and disagree with another. Then,
yes.
And you're saying they speak through a referendum. The referendum question will be a yes or no.
Yes.
It does not give you a choice of saying I want to consider this, but I don't want this and that.
Yes.
So what happens with those people who feel there are things that don't sit well with them?
You see,
how then do you notify the document?
You see, if we have a multiple, how many clauses are being changed in the Constitution? There are around 60 clauses, because now it goes to this clause, and this clause. How exactly do you go to the people and give them a document that they are going to tick 60 questions?
Is there a problem with that?
If you go to Mashinani, because let's look at it from a broad perspective.
Okay.
If even during the general elections, we have spoiled votes, and we only have 6 candidates, not even questions, just pictures and the people you're voting for, and we still have spoiled votes during general elections, then you want to tell me that that Shosho who is in Mashinani, somebody who has never even gone to school, you will go give her a booklet of 60 multiple choices, and you expect her to be able to read and tick the questions that they want to do. I agree that we need we are going to do a lot of civic education after this. Okay. After the president has sent the bill, we are going to do a lot of civic education, but it would just be impractical to have a booklet of 60 questions taken to the people.
Okay.
It will just be impractical.
All right. Muchendu?
Yes, I think for me, the drafters of this bill were very cheeky, because looking at that document, BITOC, there are issues that would have been covered through a parliamentary initiative of changing the constitution. If these people are serious about giving people's option BITOC, there are things that Lilo Wajiko BITOC does not need to be consulted about, as long as it does not affect him or her directly. Talk about the issues of, they are talking about the timelines to do bills related on agricultural issues. They are talking about things to do with the youth getting a reprimand on paying tax. These are things that Parliament could have passed, and then bring down the issues that affect Wajiko into the referendum if it has to come to that. Talk about representation. That is where one of the things Wajiko needed to have done. So I think for me is that it's only that they did not want to do it. If they wanted to do it, and they wanted to actually make it simpler for Wajiko, they could have. Then, BITOC, look at the clauses that are being amended by this particular constitutional amendment bill 2020. We can cluster them. There are clauses that are coming to address the same issues. If it's about issues of parliament and issues of expanding the executive, these are clauses that can be clustered into one segment of the question. Put another segment. In fact, BITOC, we have addressed those clauses here sometimes back, and we came down to 7 questions. Came down to around 7 questions that can be put on that.
Actually, less than 10 questions.
Less than 10 questions that can be put on that referendum. So it's only that the promoters of BBI did not want to reason. They did not want to hear anything of the sort. They had to give, they want to put Wajiko in between a hard place and a rock. You either say no or you say yes. And you see, that is the predicament that most of us find ourselves in. We probably want more constituencies, but we do not want interference with judiciary. We probably want more constituencies, but most likely we do not need a toothless prime minister. You see, these are some of the things that the people who are the proponent and the instigators of BBI did not want to reason. Okay. Like right now, you are put in that position where there are things you like in that bill, there are things you don't like in that bill. But for them, they want us to say everything else is okay. Everything else is good in that bill. We have never said, and I want you to tell me, Bitok, we have never said BBI document is 100% bad. But they choose to take the side where we critique the bad things in BBI, and they label us as people who do not support BBI. Some of us are very dependent in mind. We do not critique BBI because other people are critiquing it. We actually ask questions in BBI because we have and we read that document to understand it. Okay. And therefore, I think for me, as they have said, well, you know, we are talking about a document that it is possibly being said that only 13 county assemblies passed the correct document. And we are now talking about it having been passed by Parliament, both houses of Parliament. And now it's being sent to Wanjiku. That document has had froze from the word go. Okay. And I am expecting nothing less of a pass when it comes to Wanjiku, because those people who have overlooked the froze of the document are still going to be the people who will be in the driver's seat when that BBI comes to Wanjiku. But now, my point here is Bitok. We have talked about public participation and civic education to Wanjiku. And I pray and I hope, because one way or the other, that document will find itself to Wanjiku. Okay. I pray and hope, because I want to think that the BBI process is going to take about another 3 months. Likelihood.
The same implementation is going to be within the next 1 year. So
I am presuming that BBI might be slotted for July 15th.
For
the referendum, the same day as Kiambaa constituency by elections. So they have enough time to do civic education to Wanjiku, because I'll say this, if the proponent of BBI will be honest and do what is needed to be done between now and the time the referendum comes, then I want to believe, and believe even against hope itself, that Wanjiku will do the right thing, having read the right document and understood it the way they should. And they will probably give a judgment that based on knowledge and not hearsay and politics of deceit. Okay, I've not read comments from YouTube. I didn't saw my comments on YouTube. Then I'll go. There's some questions from the audience on Facebook. Then I think the first question is for Janet, so ndamuuliza. Alafu tutafungua, ndio tufunga story ya BBI. Nitafungua bunge kidogo. Nitafungua bunge la mwenyeji kidogo. Nambari ni 0779-800-010 or 779-800-010 or 779-800-010. Nitafungua bunge kidogo, zungumza mambo ya BBI, alafu tutaweza kusongesha conversation. Joel Kibet on YouTube. Good morning team. Good morning to you. Eugene Karagori, Kibra Olympic Tundi. Asante sana watu wa Kibra. Nashukuru sana watu wa Kibra, ni tacklers asili. Tunakuja na show yenu hapo Kamukunji. Tunapiga show na wananchi pale, tusikie wananchi wanasemaje kwa ground. Tataka kusema good morning bro. Kibra Olympics Tundi into the tackle. Asante sana. Obed KM asema, I get extremely worried when I see young people engage in politics of our people, and when I see young people support BBI, I wonder where the salvation of this nation will come from. David Akero says population is a variable and land mass is not. This is a deceptive statement to say that we will change it later one day if it's not working. It's also crafty con-womanship. Okay, David Akero asema about facts. Okay. David Akero asema David Akero, when you interrogate and investigate a young person supporting BBI, there's a personal benefit. Very simple. King of Samuda says, good morning, Taklas. Good morning to you, my brother. Karoko Kirunga, this woman is clueless on the contents of BBI. Right? Interesting. Murithi Mwaniki says, this lady is shallow and arguing from general nativity. This is Murithi Mwaniki. Joel Kibet, true. Very. Okay, then Njoga anasema, I disagree with her, but I tell her that people in mashinani don't understand how tafadhali shikilia kwenye line, yeah? Stay on the line for a minute. Then Njoga anasema, I disagree with her, but I tell her that people in mashinani don't understand how BBI in BBI will benefit them as BBI benefits the political class only. Infinity Solutions says, oh my God, there are actually young people supporting BBI. This is very sad and depressing for our nation. We have been sold out, period. Infinity Solutions
John says, I can see through already. Denon Joga says, does this young Kenyan youth or young lady know that if BBI passes, it will add the common Kenyan, as VAT may go up 20%, the price of basic commodities will go high. James Mwangi says, if it's people's proposals, why are we witnessing a lot of coercion and intimidation? Okay, Swali. And Daniel Mwangi says, you know the problem with the young people who rub shoulders with the dynasties of Kiambu. They are just clueless about BBI. Is BBI all about constituencies? So James Mwangi, if it's people's document, why are the said proponents telling us that it will be passed by fire by force? Denon Joga is a Kenyan youth say number 2. BBI for not all Kenyan youth support BBI. James Mwangi says that this lady tech Kenyans are stupid voters or what? That's on YouTube. Okay, sijui kama bado kwa line. Kuna mtu kwa line ama ameponyoka? Haya, wadhali naona kama amepotea. Haya, unaweza piga simu, nambari ni 0779-800-010 au 779-800-010 au 779-800-010. Okay, that's a number that you can call in as we tufungue bunga la mwenyeji kidogo, tusikie sauti yako kuhusu BBI, alafu tukirudi najua kuna swali kutoka kwa Joy Waweru. Wanasema, can you ask Janet what exactly is the BBI? Okay, Jambo, good morning. Good morning.
Hey, Gerard.
Hey, Jambo, habari asubuhi.
Good morning, it's Martin.
Yes, Martin, how are you?
Salamia Mshendu hapo.
Salimika sana Martin.
Aya, nauambia mwanadada hata kutudanganya.
Sumsalimia kwanza.
Habari yako? Habari yake?
Salama kabisa. Sasa nimedanganya nini?
Unaona kwa hii amendment kuna protected clauses lazima ziende kwa referendum.
Yes.
Na kuna other clauses si lazima ziende kwa referendum.
Yes.
Sasa mbona unasema lazima ati zote ati question 6 ziende kwa referendum? Does that really make sense?
Yes, it makes sense because you see those clauses that you're saying that will not go to referendum.
Yeah,
they are not part of the 60 that I'm saying. If you check your constitution, all those recommendations that have been made that are supposed to go to the referendum, because they come from different clauses, that is what will go to referendum. And if we were to take each clause, we will have more than 60 clauses that are being amended that needs to go to referendum.
No, but apart from all those 60 amendments,
yes,
we have protected clauses.
Yes.
The only one, like when you're talking about the executive,
yes,
when you talk about the judiciary,
yes,
when you talk about the money going, creating of new members of parliament,
yes,
all those things have to go back to the constituents,
yes,
to the people.
Yes.
But you see, we have other things like a youth commission, something like I don't know, a tax relief for youth. Does that really need to go to the referendum?
No, I didn't say that it needs. I did not say that it needs to go to referendum.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you need to take these things back to the referendum, we don't have an issue with the referendum because ikikuja kwa ground tutaipiga no. Hiyo ni kitu iko.
Yes.
Unaona?
And that is your democratic rights.
Yeah. So what we want is people to be open, to be real with the Kenyans, because at the end of the day we want these things to be done so that we can start dealing with Wanjiku. Because Wanjiku ameachwa for the last 3 years, tumekuwa tukiongelea tu story ya BBI. Because people are languishing in poverty, people are unemployed, people are losing their jobs. We have people going back to school, they have not been vaccinated. But you know what? What is happening is that we are still talking about BBI. And another question I have for these young people is that, is there a way that we can be able to send money back to the people without necessarily not increasing the number of representation? A country like the USA has 543 members of both the Congress and the Senate. In Kenya, and you know, we are talking a population of close to 400 million in the USA. In Kenya, we have a population of 5 million, but you have a representation of 600 people. Does that really make sense to you as a young person? Does that not...
so you're suggesting that instead of adding constituencies, we add CDF? Or what are you suggesting?
No, we need to ensure... Hii Kenya iko na watu wamesoma. I don't know why we are not putting these people who are learned to be on the forefront of policy making. Because I have an issue whereby we have to increase representation as we send money back to the people. Is there no way that we can be able to send money to the people without
adding
the representation?
Okay.
Yeah, because a country like the USA, because our constitution is our form of government is presidential.
Okay.
It's not a parliamentary system of governance. Whereby in a country like the USA has 54 governors. A country like Kenya has great governance. And you know, a Kenyan governor is getting paid more than what a governor in the US is getting paid. Now, when you look at the GDP of Kenya, it's close to 190 billion. When you look at the GDP of the USA, it's close to $31 trillion. You see, now these are some of the things that really pisses me off. When you talk about a situation whereby with increased representation, we are going to have peace, we are going to have prosperity, while we don't know even how we are going to be able to raise the money to finance this bloated governance system. That's why, personally, for me, I am really upset that this country did not want to adopt the Punguza Mzigo, but instead went for a bloated governance system.
Okay, Martin, that is where you calling from?
Kikuyu.
Okay, asante sana. Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, Gerald. How
Good morning
are you?
Sir.
My name is Talia. This is from Menokwisha.
Menokwisha Kettle Dip Chairman.
Seeing the lady and seeing MUCHENDU on
Nasikia kwanza umeleta BBI yuko Menokwisha. Umenyorosha watu elections.
Nilicheza nao.
Haya, niambie.
So seeing you guys reminds me of Menokwisha. Wakati nilikuwa nursery and somebody walked in with a new pencil and my girlfriend left me. I'll not mention names.
Nakuonea 18 wewe.
And today, because I want to just speak figuratively, I'll give stories, and the first one would be a story that was written long before Jesus Christ was born, and that is the story of Oedipus. And in this story, the oracle of Apollo says that there is somebody that will be born, a son that will be born, who will kill the father and marry the mother. And so when the child is born, the parents wanamutupa. Little they know that somebody picked up the child na akamchunga. And as the child was growing up, akasikia ile hadithi. And so decided to run away further. And as the child was running away, kijana anaitwa Oedipus akakutana na mtu barabarani na akamuua. Little did he know that was the father who was the king.
Okay.
And reaching a certain kingdom, there was a riddle that needed somebody to solve it in order to save the people of that particular kingdom.
Okay. And
so this Oedipus solved that particular riddle. Okay. And the promised reward was that whoever solves that particular riddle was going to marry the queen.
Okay.
Little did he know that this one was the mother.
So story ni gani hapa chama?
What is the moral?
What is the moral of the story?
Acha nimalize hadithi yangu Daniel. Usinikimbize hii bunge la wananchi.
Haya, endelea bunge iko wazi.
So this guy marries the mother and they end up even having 4 kids. And later people start dying. Later a lot of wanakutana na pandemic zao, wanakutana na corona zao. And so when they sit down, one of the seers over this particular kingdom says that actually this is the issue, that this guy has married what? The mother. The story in itself has a lot of theories and a lot of people arguing about it. But today I'm giving a different version of this particular story. That now the king Oedipus blinded the blind and the mother killed themselves.
Okay.
But as this person was going away, and when the play is ending, because actually it is a play,
yes.
People say that nobody should ever say that they are happy. Because this guy was so mighty. He was so big. He was a nice king. People loved him as a king.
Yes.
But as he was leaving, those who are commenting said that no one should ever say they are happy until they carry their happiness to the grave in peace.
Okay.
Same way, for those who are celebrating, we would just say that don't say you are successful until you carry your success to the grave in peace, because there are people who are celebrating a few years ago and they are no longer celebrating at the moment, because every other time there comes a time when things must be changed, and when change happens, it might eat you. And I'll end with the words of Bwana Orengo that says, even have a good morning.
Okay, thank you so much, my brother. Good morning to you, sir. How are you? Good morning, sir.
Hello. Hey, my bro.
Hello, sir. Mambo?
Salama sana, how are you, sir?
Salama sana, asifiwe Yesu.
Hey.
Yes, asifiwe kabisa. Salimia ndugu yangu Muchendo hapo.
Bwana asifiwe sana pastor.
Na huyo mrembo kutoka Mount Kenya, even though as people from Mount Kenya we want to disassociate ourselves with her contribution.
Kwani kuna mlima ngapi?
Mlima ni moja.
Lakini watu ni wengi.
Sauti ya mlima ni ya wananchi, ya mabenyenye.
Aya, huyu ni benyenye.
Sasa mimi ni benyenye.
Ama ni mtu ya mabwenyenye?
Naona ni kama ametumwa na mabwenyenye. Lakini sauti ya mlima ni sauti ya wakulima na wananchi ambao wanajitegemea. Na kwa hivyo naomba kushirikiana na ndugu Muchendu na wengine. But Gerald, there are critical things that we need to discuss about this process.
Okay.
And one of the things that pains us young people is to see another young person collaborating with the Iranian institutions that have ripped this country apart. Let us be honest, number one. We agree that 98% of the document called BBI, that is still unknown. You know, nobody has the correct document. We don't know which one is which.
Okay.
Do not require a referendum at the end of the day. We agree to that note. But there are critical things that need to go to BBI. I think I saw functions of Parliament Article 10 has been touched because the nomination of CS and other key officials will no longer require the scrutiny and the approval of Parliament. So it means that functions of Parliament, if you look at Article 55, 255, it means that certain things that are touched and also national values. We can argue about the concept of national values has been done. The reason why I'm saying it needs to go to referendum is because there are discussions that we may not have a referendum. And that's the reason why you didn't see a budget on referendum in Akuriatani's proposals. The fact that after presidential assent, BBI is in it ratified as law and we move on swiftly, and therefore that will touch on elections and many other things, the structure of government. So I don't know. We can just wait and see, but it must go to referendum. The reason also why we need a referendum is because the concept of public participation.
Yes.
Article 1 of the Constitution, Article 118, 1B, 124, 201, 222, 232 of COK 2010 has been altered. Why am I saying that, Gerald?
Yes.
When you look at the ability of Parliament to amend and discuss a document being taken away, it means representative power by the Mwananchi has been subjugated.
Okay.
Because we exercise power either directly or represented. Public participation, the bill is not a popular initiative. Neither is it a parliamentary initiative. It is what we call executive lawmaking, subsidiary laws or subordinate laws made by another body other than Parliament. Raila Odinga shook Kenyatta's hand. Kenyatta shook Raila's hand. They decided to come with a document called BBI. So it was initiated outside the popular initiative and outside the parliamentary initiative. Therefore, it is what in other jurisdiction we call it executive lawmaking, and there are no statutory obligations or requirements for that provided for in Constitution 2010. So it means the document is illegal.
Okay.
It's an illegal document. And if I give you the tenets of public participation, the first one is that what has been taken away is a sovereign power for the Mwananchi to exercise their rights, either direct or represented. That has been taken away. The second one, the concept of national values and principles of governance include public participation. This has been violated too. Number 3, public access and participation in legislative processes by the Mwananchi. And that is under Article 118, 1B and 196, 1B.
Okay.
It's directive. It tells Parliament that you must involve the Mwananchi in every law-making process that you do. there hasn't been any involvement in parliament, as you've seen, Gerald.
Okay.
Number 3, and I'm going to finish in the next 1 minute.
Uh-huh.
Number 3, public access and participation. Number 4. Number 4 is right to petition parliament. Article 119. Parliament must consider the views of the Mwananchi. We haven't seen this yet. Number 5, principles in equality. We are being told that constituencies are being thrown left, right, center. Even though it is the obligation of IBC, not Parliament, we don't even need a referendum to do that. Okay. In any way, whether there was BBI or not, delineation was going to happen. We didn't need BBI. IBC was going to do that, even if the country shut down under Corona. That is an obligation that was supposed to be done. Number 6, freedom of expression, Article 33. Freedom to seek, receive, and impart information by the Mwananchi has been subjugated. And the last one, right to access information.
Okay.
Article 35. It gives the Mwananchi the right to access information held by the state, of course within the limits of the Information Act 2016. We don't know what BBI is. We have no bloody idea. This is a phantom exercise. It's a ghost exercise. It is only known by Kenyatta and Raila Odinga and the functionaries of this satanic act. So we are saying that satanic act is a satanic act.
Allah.
You know,
when we takasa sisi mtumishi.
Bana, hii kitu imekasirisha watu. Yani wewe tunazika watu Kenya, vaccine hutawapatia. You want to lengthen your power. You want to lengthen your stay. You want to preserve yourself politically, even though you have demonstrated that you're incapable to rule this country. It is very unfortunate, Gerald. Thank you. Those are my kind submissions.
Thank you so much. I appreciate. All right. Good morning. Jambo.
Salama sana, Gerald.
Bunga la mwenye nchi. Pole, nimeona simu yako imekuja sana, umekuwa ukipata miss.
It's okay.
Nazungumza na nani?
No problem. Huyu ni Martin Warwe from Kasarani.
Mtu wa Kasarani, bare Kasarani.
Kasarani kuzuri.
Bado mnalala kwa barabara na moto ya polisi ama siku hizi mnafika nyumbani?
Watu wanapambana.
Niambie dadi.
Yeah, so I want to agree or to buttress some of the points when you a lot of callers there. And I think generally the feeling is that a lot of people have a lot of exceptions to this, document the process, the content. Let me say this, yeah? There is this issue that I don't understand with people. You see, eventually, whether this bill passes or not, if it passes, for example, the people who are at the forefront of, supporting this bill, are they going to benefit more than the people who are opposing it? If it passes and it is not a good document, it's not a progressive document, it has all the hallmarks of, retrogressive document. If it is going to punish us, for example, because of increment of the cost of running government, is it not going to punish all of us, without, discriminating indiscriminately, without caring whether you supported it or you opposed it? So I don't see the sense of, people who are, campaigning for this document too hard, as if it passes, they are going to be treated in any special manner, So, but let us go to the specifics and we start from the point. So
unataka kwa urengo useme this thing will hit you more than it will hit me. Okay.
I'm not saying that, but let us interrogate this document and let us address this question of this document is good because, or it's good because it is benefiting our region, part of this problem, Gerard, is one of the things that we have in this country, part of the problem, whereby our identities are region-based. That when you see a young person supporting this document, is saying that I am supporting this document because it is benefiting Mount Kenya. Does that young person not have any other sort of identity? Does she not identify with the youth, for example, and say that this document is not good for the youth, whether I come from Mount Kenya, whether I come from Coast, from Northeastern? You can only talk about constituencies. And I want to buttress the point of the person who said that, can we not send money
Are you from the mountain yourself?
I am from the mountain. Can we not send money to Mashinani without increasing the number of constituencies, the units of representation, the physical units, because you see, Gerard, this is the point, and I want to direct this question to Mushendu, because, he is a governance expert. That is the tagline that I see there down here. Does it not worry Mushendu that in 2010, just before 2010, we had 210 constituencies and our Bunge had 222 members of parliament. Today, if this document passes, we are going to have a parliament, both the Senate and the National Assembly, of potential for 640 members of parliament. That is an increment of 188% in under 10 years. From good governance perspective, does Mushendu think that is good governance? Because he's a governance expert. That is the question that I want us to do. In under 10 years, we have increased our representation at the national level at our houses of legislature with 188%. Surely. At the same time, since this president came into power, Gerard and the panelists, I want you to take note.
Yes.
In 2013, the wage bill was 484 billion shillings. Today, the wage bill is 825 billion shillings. That is an increment of almost 386 billion. At the same time, our revenue, when Uhuru Kenyatta came into power, our revenue was around 1.3 trillion. Today, it's about 1.5 trillion. That is a meager increment of 300 billion. Our wage bill has even increased more than our revenue. These things that we are saying that, and this is what is happening with this government, they have been creating something that we can characterize as an illusion of motion, whereby you make things look like they are working, but they are not working. And this explains some of the sweeteners that we see in this process, where you are saying, the people of the mountain, we are going to add you more constituencies through this process. But, Gerard, let us be candid. Let us be honest to ourselves. If we are going to talk about the people of the mountain, we all know that this is one of the regions that has suffered most under this government, So to have members of, and part of the reason why we are suffering, or why the people of the mountain are suffering, it's not because we do not have members of parliament in there. The issue is the quality of representation. It is not the number. It is the quality of representation, whereby you have members of parliament, you have governors, you have MCAs, you have senators, you have women reps, and you have a president who does not, or who is not who does not read from the same script, who does not have the pulse of the region with him. This issue of increasing constituencies, I don't support it, whether it benefits Mount Kenya, whether it benefits Northeastern. I don't support it because it is going to increase the cost of running this government. And in the US, because our constitution or our governance structure is a Republican governance structure, people, the Americans, have the concept of what we call lean government. And lean government means that lean government is effective, corruption is not as much as when you have a bloated government. Let us go for lean government. When people are going for lean government, people here want to increase the size of our government. Lastly, this BBI, tomorrow I have faith, and I am hoping and praying that the 5th bench of the High Court, led by Professor Joy Ngugi, and you have George Odunga and the other justices sitting to listen to the consolidated petitions, questioning the process of BBI, which is a Kenyatta and Odinga process. We all know. We might want to lie to ourselves that it is a popular initiative. Well, is wapi in a popular initiative? This is an initiative of two people. I have faith that the High Court is going to pronounce itself and call this thing in black and white. Call it like it is. That this is neither a popular initiative, neither is it a parliamentary initiative, that this is something strange to what the Constitution envisaged insofar as amending our Constitution is concerned, and they are going to throw it to the dustbin that it deserves to be thrown into. And they are going to exercise their right of appeal. They can go to the Court of Appeal or to the Supreme Court. But I believe and I know that there are serious misgivings about this process that are going to see the court, that are going to see the court, not even cast a spoiler.
Okay.
Stand with the people of Kenya.
Asante sana.
I want to urge young people like Ruth, like Muchendu has been around for quite some time, yeah. And I sympathize. I know.
He's not been around for quite some time. He's a very young guy.
I know, but I understand where he's coming from when he talks about Ndeya. I know Ndeya.
Okay.
I know it's a dry place. It is.
Martin, Maliza, ndio tupe mtu.
Achana Ndeya wewe.
I understand.
Ujaongelesha jana, tumeongelesha Muchendu sana. Ongelesha jana tukienda. Ungependa kuambia nini Janet?
I want to urge Janet. The problems that are in this document, or the problems that are going to come if this document was to be passed, they are not going to affect Uhuru Kenyatta or Raila Odinga or the people who are in their 50s or the people who are in their sunset years. The problems are going to affect youth more than anybody else.
Okay.
And therefore, she must not see herself as a person who comes from Mount Kenya. I also come from Mount Kenya. Many other youth come from Mount Kenya. But this document is going to affect our children, our children's children. It is about the generations that are coming. It is about the young people. I want to ask her, in this document, what benefits are the youth deriving from this benefit, from this document? Because this is the constituency that is going to be mostly affected by this document. When you look at that document, what are the benefits that are in that document that would cause you as a young person to support this document?
Okay.
Yeah.
Asante sana. Thank you so much, Martin. Thank you for calling in. I really appreciate. Asante. Nitachukua simu mbili za mwisho alafu then we'll continue. Someone who has been calling in 0719 if that's your number, 0719 tafadhali piga simu. I'll just take 2 last calls alafu tuweze kufunga bunge because naona tungefungua bunge tena lakini muone acha tuweke iko kwa muda alafu tumalizane na watu. Kama nambari yako ni 0719 inaisha na 031 tafadhali. Muone umepiga simu karibu mara 10. So utaweza kupiga simu tuweke nambari tuchukue simu mbili za mwisho. Alafu tujue ni aje. Naona acha niangalie mambo. Hello, good morning. Yes. Jambo, pole. Simu yako naona imepotea mara mingi. Naongea na nani?
Naongea na Dennis.
Dennis nani?
Dennis Murithi.
Where are you from? Kaka. Oh, Murithi Mwaniki. Ama ni nani? Uko YouTube? Ama
kweli.
Okay, niambie.
I'm from Nanyuki.
From Nanyuki?
Yes.
Okay.
And I live in a close proximity to the mountain.
To the mountain itself.
I love that.
Muchendu unaongeleshwa.
Yes, I can hear you, my brother. Proximity iko karibu sana na mlima.
Mlima yenyewe.
Kuna swali.
Yes, sir.
The military was around here the other day.
Yes.
Walikuwa wanatengeneza reli.
Yes.
Hii reli imeenda ikaingia kwa shamba ya mtu Vivo Energy.
Yes.
Inamwaga mafuta huko.
Yes.
Alafu ipande ingine Kenya just ni Kenya Hamani wametengeneza barabara ikakuja ikaishia hapa kwa gate Vivo Energy.
Yes.
Atu kuenda BBI. We didn't vote for that.
Lakini hii maneno Dennis, hii maneno kweli unasema reli inaishia mahali. Unaweza nitumia picha. Niangalie.
You can come and see for yourself.
Unataka nikuje mwenyewe?
Dennis, I can help Gerard nimwambie that rail ends up at
an election for that.
Yes. Tell him that rail
and all these shenanigans. Mudhamaki anajua Kenya anafanya. Unaona, you can see that Baringo Senator Gideon Moi is resurrecting from politics. And those 5 wazee being paraded around kina Murathe and Atuli. Hii ni siasa ya kupangwa tu. Hii ni kupangwa, tunapangwa venye tumeishi kupangwa na tumaneno. Lakini kila kijana anajua saa hii bei ya unga, rent, bado tunaishi kwa manyumba zenye wazazi walikomboa town. Na Nyuki kulikuwa na kiwanda na ilikufa actually. These problems are obvious everywhere. Kutoka Nyandarua kuenda Kisumu, Ahero, everybody is crying. Kila mtu analia. We don't need an election for that. Watu wanasomea chini ya miti na hii century yenye tulikuwa tumepromisiwa just the other day laptop. Sasa hii tunaambiwa tusodee chini ya miti, hakuna kitu iko in order. Hizi vitu zenye serikali hata 15% Kenya kanapeano, we don't know anything. Hata MP mwenye ako sahi atumuonangi. We have nothing yani.
Ndio amesema ongeza wako wengi ndio muanze kuwaona kila siku asubuhi.
Kuna kitu kama hiyo.
Sasa good idea. Ama mtaki kuona mbunge.
Alafu wafanye nini? Hao watu wanavanga suti na wanaishi kwa manyumba Lavington.
Wewe mtu wa nyuki unajua Lavington.
Gavana wa Meru ana quarantine in his home in Nairobi. Anjika kamuona kigani.
Wala.
Watatembea kwa hizi mara. Sisi sasa tunakanyanga matope, tuenda shamba ni kukanyanga matope. Mkulima anamwaga maziwa. Ule mkulima mwingine pale ya Hero samaki yake inaoza. Do we need to go to referendum to address such issues?
Okay. Asante sana Dennis. Pole sana. Naona uko na hasira kidogo lakini pole baba utapoa.
Quarantine tu karibu na proximity ya mlima.
Natembea nakuja end of the month nakuja area yenu. Nikikuja nitakutafuta nitumie namba yako. Tafadhali send me your number. I'll be there over the end of the month. Nakuja hapo hiyo njia like Kipia na Nyuki ndio nionyeshe barabara. Hata mimi nataka kuona rail.
I'll drive you.
Haya, asante sana ndugu yangu. Nashukuru. Haya, hiyo ilikuwa simu ya mwisho tumefunga bunge la mwenyenchi. Poleni nime-extend kwa sababu sikuwa nataka kufungua bunge mara mbili. Sasa nifungue bunge mara moja kwa sababu tushafika saa 3. So ndaenda kuangalia maswali. Wale majamaa ambao wako YouTube, tafadhali send in your questions. Those guys on YouTube, please send in your questions that would want the panelists to answer on this note. And Daniel Mwanga sema that caller is on point, a light-minded Kenyan rather than watu wengine huko. Infinite Solutions, the caller from Kikuyu is on point. My exact thoughts word for word. Naona Peter Chero sema if MP concentrate on legislation, representation and oversight roles, executive will deliver equitably. Okay, Murithi Mwaniki says the only people supporting of this BBI are naive and don't understand the politics of Kenya. Joel Kibet, when they want to justify their mediocrity, they always refer to what about that illiterate grandma in the village, forgetting that the new registers voters, approximately 4 million, are learned youth. Okay. Peter Cherop said it's a fallacy for MP to equate development to constituency CDF. CDF is a scheme for executive to hold and squeeze the balls of the legislature and MPs to twist executive. Period. Muridhi Mwaniki says Gerald BBI is Uru's way of forcing himself on us. That is why it's hard to sell this thing even to a fool. Okay, but Janet is not Janet's a very smart girl. I mean, Infinity Solution says that she was sent here to mislead the youth because they know the youth are not for it. I just want a young lady, the show you are rubbishing here is the same. You will come pampering and soothing to wake up early to vote in the same hyenas who are voicing PBI on her. Shame on you, young lady. Okay. Just Mangi says, does this lady take Kenyans as stupid voters? Okay. Tuangalie YouTube. Niko na swali yako ndaanza na wewe Janet ndio turudi. This from Joel Waweru, nimeona watu wengi wamesema niulize. Anasema, can you ask Janet what exactly is in the BBI that assures me I can open a business in Kisumu and it is not interfered with, or which clause that prevents the people from fighting after elections?
Nasi watu wako na machungu na Janet. Anyway, you see, Bitok, we come from a place whereby in our country, every electioneering period, we see businesses being vandalized. We see people going on arms at each other. Okay. But this is a thing that should be of the past. And one of the things that makes these things happen simply because of representation. Okay. Because right now, as when we were going to elections in 2013 and in 2017, people were saying that Kenya is not a country for two communities, simply because we had a president running and a deputy from Rift Valley, that is Mount Kenya and Rift Valley. And going back, you remember, we've had a president from we've had presidents from only two communities, and that is the Kalenjin community and the Kikuyu community. Now, some of the injustices that people feel that come with this, what they term tribal politics, is that every electioneering period, if I have a business in Kisumu, like if we go back, if I had a business in Kisumu in 2017, I'd have had to close it down because by the nature of our politics, it could have been vandalized. But now, with the hybrid system that is being brought in, whereby we will have a president, a deputy president, a prime minister, a deputy, and 2 deputy prime ministers, what this will do is communities will start feeling accommodated in government. And this let's look at the communities that have been at wrangles. When you look in our history, we've had the Kalenjin community in 2007 had wrangles with the Kikuyu community. We had the Luos had issues with the Kikuyu communities and the Kisis. But now when you come whereby we have a hybrid government, we cannot have 2 people from the same community in the executive. That's the 5 posts.
Is which clause in the BBI?
The amendment of the, it's called what? The executive. Is it the executive? Whereby you have a president, deputy president, prime minister, deputy, and 2 deputy prime ministers. When we have these people coming from different parts of the country,
does it ensure they do come from different communities in the document?
No,
it specifies.
I am saying if we have people coming from different communities, because it will not make sense. Because you remember, our politics at the end of the day are local, and you want to have an alliance that will, if you are running for president, you want to have an alliance that will assure you of a win. So what will you do? There is no way you can pick 5 people from the same community. Will it even make sense?
No, it will not.
It will not make sense. You cannot pick 2 people from the same community. It will not make sense because we are talking about representation. And you want, and as much as we want to remove this mindset, politics in this country is local, and that is something we have to have in our mind.
It's tribal.
It's tribal. It's not even in Kenya only. Go to other countries. Even if you go to the US, look at it. It's about race, about blacks, about tribes, like those who support LGBTQ, those who do not support, those who support blacks, those who do not support. At the end of the day, our politics has some form of what is it called? Let me call tribe. They are anchored on tribes. So for you to be assured of a win if you're running for president in this new proposed constitution, you will need to have 5 different tribes in those key positions. And that is now where you having a business in Kisumu will be protected because your people feel that they are parts of the government, because that is the major thing that causes clashes in this country. People not feeling represented at the end of the day. If
what if you're in a place where, what if you're in Northeastern and it's one of those tribes that maybe will not make it to the executive? Are you safe?
How do you know?
Because there are 5, we have 44 tribes in the country.
We have 44
we have
tribes.
5 slots. So what if you have business in those areas where the communities have not made it to the executive?
We have 44 tribes because even if you come to the mountain, Kikuyus and Merus are not one tribe. Those are different.
But they share an heritage, okay?
Those 2 are not tribes. They come from different tribes. But now you take it as a region. We call it the Mount Kenya region. That takes a whole block. We go to Western. That is another block. We go to Eastern. That is another block. And at the end of the day, this is how people feel that they are part of the government. The same way you will not have a Supreme Court that has one tribe. It's the same way we are saying we cannot have an executive that is only that only has one tribe as a majority. It's the same case that people need to feel included
in the government
and being part of the government.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, that'll be interesting to see what happens. So, Michelle, know what your comments are on that very quickly.
I think for me is that I had said that.
I don't know if Joe Waweru, are you satisfied? If you're satisfied, niambie umekuwa satisfied. Mbona watu wengi wamenitaka kwa hiyo swali haya.
I'm saying, as I had said earlier, that this country does not have a majority community. Every other community is what I would define as a substantive minority. Kikuyus, they might seem to be the biggest in number, but they do not constitute the majority of this country. If you go to Kalenjin, if you go to Luo, if you go to Rohia, they have numbers, but neither of these community constitutes a decisive majority in this republic, then that means that in the system of governance in this country, you have to come up with a way that incorporates every other person. And I will say this why I am skeptical of those people who are propagating BBI on that line is I've asked you this question and I'll ask again. How many presidents have ever been to Moyale to presidential candidates have ever been to Moyale to campaign? No one. The only other time we saw the president at Moyale was the time they were actually officiating what was being constructed in Moyale the other day. They were there together with the prime minister and whoever have you. But you see, the people who are bearing the biggest cost of living in this country is someone who is at Moyale town. When we are buying a fuel here at 120 something, at Moyale town, 1 liter of petrol is going at 137 shillings. They are the people who are paying the highest cost of living in this country. But when you come to the structures of governance and making decisions of leadership be talk, they are nowhere to be seen. So I am saying, and I have not seen anything in BBI that comes close to addressing equal representation of every corner of this country. Because the structure of the executive provides 5 senior positions. It provides the position of the president, the deputy president, the prime minister, and 2 deputies. These are 5 major positions in this government. These are the people who are now the la creme of leadership. They only will represent most likely 5 regions. But nonetheless, we know not every community out of the over 40 communities in this country can fit in the top leadership of the country. But we must come up with a way that addresses the cosmopolitan system of our politics. That I don't want to, because when we speak about tribes, we actually vindicate that terminology of Kenyans being tribal. But you did not choose to be born in Moben. I did not choose to be born in Kiambu. But we are Kenyans. But nonetheless, if I come from Northeast and if I come from Lamu, I must feel the importance of government. And there is a caller who contributed that I wanted to correct him. He was giving an analogy depicting the system of government in the US. I submit to you that one of the most bloated system of government in the world is in the United States. The United States has the House of Representatives, has the Senate, has 50 state senates. They have quite a hefty number of representatives of all the congressional districts in the US. So, as much as they are talking about the quality of leadership offered Bitok, the equal representation must be the first thing. Before you can now come down to pick the quality leadership that the Wananchi should pick, the first business should be equal representation. And I will say this without fear. Anybody might think that we are as my colleague has said here, every politics is Rocco. And if there is an opportunity for Limuru constituency to be split into 2, everybody and anybody who is a political, they say that we are political animals. So anybody, other than the peculiar interest that we may have for the future 2022 and everything, let us be honest. And I have always been honest here. The idea of having an extra constituency for politicians is very entertaining because it makes the burden of looking for votes less easy.
You can campaign in your village.
The people who, you actually, it will bring down the cost of doing a campaign. It will bring down the headache of doing logistics. So everybody will look at that issue with a personal touch. That's the truth. But the point I'm trying to say that let us not kid ourselves. Even if we pass BBI, there is a lot of work to be done to ensure that we have equal representation from all the corners of this country. Because BBI alone, and I will tell you, one of the nations that has some of the best registration in the world is this country. But again, one of the nations that has the worst implementation of
And obedience of law.
registration, and it is this country. That's the truth. And therefore, passing BBI is one thing.
Implementing it is another
Implementing
story.
it is a
A different story. Anyway, 2010 constitution has suffered lack of implementation. Anyway, Steve Simboja niende watu wa Facebook nimewaacha sana. Steve Simpola anasema reject BBI monster. Nelson Moray anasema BBI is toxic, is poisonous. Lydia Mathia anasema the BBI document is a BBI constitutional amendment bill is a negotiated document and represents political consensus and settlement. Splitting the document into multiple questions would give opportunity for some to have their cake and eating it. No multiple questions. No multiple questions. Dennis anasema pin the number kindly. Tayari tunaongea. Duncan Mushoki anasema watching from Watford, UK. Asante sana all the guys from the United Kingdom. Tafutana na kina Luta Mungu akondini na mkunye chai. Na kuja pia weather ikitulia kidogo we will come. We've been invited. So unajua tunaanza na safari ya America. Nende tuone hizi siji congress wapi. Ndio saa zile tunaongea hapa tackle tunaongea kama tumeona. Haya. Nimeona pia Nita Chasira anasema okay. Bruce Lee said if you don't have a problem with the return of the imperial presidency, a bloated parliament and the executive, the end of independent judiciary, a useless PM and nothing to solve the PEV, etc., then you are not only fail to learn from history, but also means you are blind. Okay. Kanana Junior says, not all my senator voted yes. Not that all my senator voted said, Kajiado, Philip Mpia, tutaonana 2022. Haya. Edley Ruth asema the BBI will continue struggling Wanjiko on taxes. Kiproti Koromicha from Mkono sama, please, people need to be told that this is not a popular initiative. It's an initiative by two people. Was it Udanganye? Watching and listening live from Nakuru CBD. Asante sana Kiproti Koromicha. MC Aspirant Tenema anasema who initiated na amecheka. Haya, Dennis Dube anasema what's the number please? Akitari shaongea kwa simu. Lucy anasema I don't understand how it's a negotiated document. That is the answer to Lydia Mathia. MCS Bidante na makao anasema there is nothing to be done on this document again, so we only battle with it. Joseph Kia says watching from Langata. Jimmy Gakio, is there a clause in BBI that says that lady will have a airline? No, now you're getting personal. No, stop that. Jimmy Ajeptap Kibri Rets anasema Onesimus Kipchumba Murkomen did represent EMC people, me included. Maina Wanjiku anasema ask Janet if she's among the people who will benefit directly or indirectly for promoting BBI. Evan Sarap Serone says BBI will only benefit people's stomach. She is a beneficiary of BBI pass, so she is really campaigning for it and caring for her own interest. It's very unfortunate to the greedy young generation to learn from. Okay. Michael Nyauke says Janet kama ata hapa kwa live, just going by the comments and the sentiments of those who have called the BBI is an unpopular initiative. What gives you the confidence that this is a popular initiative? At the grassroots, the fact that majority of MPs voted yes because we all know they are incorruptible. How have no personal and political interest have in the past demonstrated as much. Okay. James Mweda anasema we pastor apatiwe maji, amekasirika zaidi. Jeredi Sokongo says for the first time we want to see if Wanjiko will disagree with their leaders in this BBI business in the ballot. Abbas Njuguna, kuna wanaume watapiga viraka trousers in the coming days of our economy. Cannot sustain the coming government, or else Kenyans would be taxed to the bone marrow. Okay. Jimmy, of course, the political clan days will be nominated to either house's 100% benefit. Jerodio Congo says, how is it executive law making then you had Raila's name? It Buana Pasta. That argument is null and void in aspect. Okay. Michael Nyoka says, Jera Bitok, please ask your panelist how the BBI address the common problems we face as a nation. Besides adding constituencies and so-called representation, how does it address the debt crisis and the wage bill? How does it address unemployment, rising fuel prices? How does it address police brutality and other human rights injustices, especially during election period and in enforcing curfews? How does it address the perennial problems of nurses, doctors, and teacher strikes? How does it address corruption? Okay. Arab Chuma says, my senator was the speaker overseeing the voting and approved everything. Of course, she voted yes. Okay. And Dibili says Ecclesiastes 3. I don't know what it says. Please paste it up on Taisoma. Peter Maina anasema I like the show. Great man. Thank you. Clinton Korir. Ukweli kuna upungufu ya wajinga Kenya. We are waking up. This is good. This is BBI is a dangerous scream. Kathleen Kate, we are so angry with this government, and Janet should not say that she represents the mountain people. We are anti-BBI because we have suffered most in her government. Okay. Joel Retella, we don't fight because of representation. Otherwise, we will be fighting throughout. Why only during and after elections? Is it not because of not accepting results? Dennis Nobe says, where in BBI spells that the executive will be balanced between tribes? Who stopped Raila from choosing his cronies? Lies. MC Kalia says, What prevents communities from voting all of them from the same community? Joe Waweru says, tell her to mention where in BBI that prevents president to elect the prime minister from his background. Clinton case says, youths are not tribal anymore. Abedi Pop Kapope. Anasema Gerald, for the first time you have hosted the wrong person. The lady, no, ni Murates of this world. There's no wrong person on the tackle. Every other person comes with their own opinion. Jandiso Congo says, before 2010, Ugenya was one big constituency and it was divided into two. Now we have Ugenya and Ugunja. And I can tell you for a fact that you can't believe how Ugunja has developed in less than 10 years. Okay. Interesting. MCA aspirant Tena Makuru and Sema Madam Jane Ruthuku doesn't have an idea of what she argues. I feel sorry for her. Yes, to me, what about devolution? Isn't it adequate representation? Jane Mwembe says, Msupu, arudi shule. Na exams zimetoka juzi results. Wacha maneno. Ajolo anasema this lady has clearly been sent to defend the document she hasn't read. She is talking based on hearsay from the same politicians. Michael Nyauke, why in 2021 are you peddling this myth that if one more man in government, then my community is better represented at the grassroots? People don't eat representation. We want a country where I vote for a Luya, then I can still benefit as a Kamba. I don't have to have a Kamba in government to get development in Kitui. Okay, interesting perspective. Joe says, I'm not satisfied. I will call in. Muuliza directly, nijibu directly. Haya, ndafungua labda tukimaliza ndafungua kidogo. Just Mwenda anasema, I'm not being sexist, but why is that majority of those that have been brainwashed to support BBI are young ladies? Okay, interesting perspective. I never really observed that. Dennis says, please remind this lady that the entire criminal justice system is GEMA, DCI, IG, CJ, DCJ. So BBI will respond to this. Okay. Bas Dugana says, when it comes to collecting BBI signatures, Moyale people would be reached by choppers, but today no one cares if they would even get COVID vaccines. Gidiro says, this is an analogy of saying our politics is local, is messing everything in Kenya. Our leaders are using this to only satisfy their gains. This is the day show is on fire. Sante Mwangi Orasama, according to the lady, BBI will sort all this. Okay. Thank you, Gerald. Sante sana Gidiro Teach. Boyjel Keshaga. The document is not the best, but compared to where we have been as a country, it sets space for a better future. Okay. Jakula Sama, among all the questions that we shall have to unfold in all directions, among all the things that we shall have to ask ourselves, there will be then be the figuration of man as political animal or political living being among all the questions that we shall have to unfold in the all directions, among all the things that we shall have to ask. Okay, I think it's a repetition of the comment. Kilvan Otieno says, kindly inform Janet that lying is dangerous because people never forget. BBI is a devil's document for politicians and nothing for the people. Moses Kamau, whether my senator represented me or not is not here nor there. At the moment, how we vote during the referendum, we'll say it loud. The ball is in the public court at the moment. Jordiso Congo says, I wonder why General Pitoki are allowing this notion that it's in Kisumu that usually have problems during elections. Isn't that on profiling community against other people? It's not me, sir, Congo. Ni mambo yenu na panelists ambao nazungumza, and I usually say this, that any opinions represented on the tackle does not represent me as a person and does not represent to your media and does not represent the tackle as a show. His opinions of the panelists. Okay. And let's say sama thanks Gerald, you're doing a great. Mungu akubariki sana. Asante sana. Wacha niangalia YouTube kidogo pia hapa. Infinity Solutions sama Asoba Kenyan cannot support this document. Our leaders are drunk in greed. They given a little money and selling out their people. The cabals are very intelligent. It's a satanic act because I see a big hand of Western and Eastern governments of the world. I hear the Chinese and the US influence in all this. Daniel Mwangi says, even if politics are local, don't you think addressing corruption is more important than representation? Tell us how BBI address corruption in creating jobs and creating jobs. Okay. James says that we talk about resources. Next finance year, we are running a 2 trillion budget that we have money that we don't have money for. Anyway. Murito Maniki, the reason we have chaos in Kenya is because it is engineered by imposition of scarcity by the political class. Peter Cherabazamo, you can't legislate to solve mediocre leadership led by Uhuru Kenyatta. KG, a good example, in the US, we never had a problem with elections until Trump made his people doubt elections. How does the BBI address this? Okay. James Otama, BBI is excellent to politicians, but a disaster to Wanjigu, to Talilia, Kwacho. Okay, let me ask you, I'll start with Mushendu Matoka Kuongea. I think you were the last person who spoke. There's a question that has been raised here. Ruthuku, you've mentioned about the president ensuring that the people in government come from different communities to ensure balance. Now, there has been a clause that has been quoted from BBI that Parliament will no longer vet presidential appointees. And the wisdom of Constitution 2010 was ensure that the executive and the president is checked to ensure that it does not make express appointments that does not maybe hog well with the country. So, with this point, with BBI passes, then the president will be making selections of PSS and CSS and nobody questions him or no vetting in Parliament. Do you really feel safe with that? And what guarantee does that give that the president then will do the appointment across communities? Considering now, even with the Constitution 2010, there has been complaint that I'm also seeing here that the representation in government as leaning towards a certain communities and other. What then are the checks in presidential appointments?
You see, when you're elected as a president, you want to elect, you want to appoint people who you will be able to work with, and even now, even when it goes to Parliament today, it's an appointment by the president, but it has to be approved by Parliament. It's not like it's Parliament which takes names to the president for approval. It's the other way around. It's still the executive that takes names to the legislature for approval. But for a president to choose people he can be able to work with, he needs to have that.
That is very relative. How do you moderate emotions? Like, I can be able to work with you. Maybe I don't like you, but you can do a good job. But because I don't like you, then I'm going to appoint MUCHENDU because he's my very good friend. We come together from day, and there's nobody going to ask me those questions. I'll appoint and I'll say that's it.
You see, you are the one who has been elected as president, right? And you need people who are going to deliver, because when you are campaigning, there are things that you are campaigning about.
So what is the danger with having Parliament confirm that these people can deliver?
What is the what?
I'm saying, what is the issue? The way it is, the Constitution 2010, it ensures that every appointment must go through Parliament for vetting and approved by Parliament.
Yes.
And part of those things are to check, first of all, the track record of these people, the meritocracy to those positions. And they are the ones who say, okay, we have an issue with these people because of this and this and this. Maybe they need to fix this and that. So why do we reverse that wisdom and assume that now the president has veto rights to appoint anybody they want and nobody should question it?
Maybe that is one thing. You asked me whether there is one thing that I have a contention with in the BBI. Okay. Maybe that would be one thing, because I think the legislature should be able to check the background of the people who are being given the mandate to act as cabinet secretaries, as PSAs, to work in the government. I think that is one thing I'd agree with, that the legislature needs to check. But even if you look at it today, the president can fire any cabinet secretary that he has appointed. Look at Kyunjori. He was fired. What did Parliament do? Nothing. There's nothing they could do about it. So we can say it's just a formality. For me, if I look at it now, it's just a formality. Yes, the Parliament will go vet and then approve. If we look back, which name has ever been shut down by Parliament? It was only one. The time Monica Juma had been appointed, that time they refused to approve.
There's another one so far, the ambassador, that lady,
and she still became an ambassador.
The government the Parliament rejected.
Yes,
the executive still forwarded.
She still became an ambassador. So that's why I'm saying these things are just a formality.
Then what does it say then about the law?
A president needs to work with people he can be able to work with. Because if I have appointed you, you're not working to deliver what I've appointed you to deliver. I'll just appoint another person and I'll pass the name to Parliament and they'll just approve. So it's the same cycle. But I'd wish our legislature was a bit independent in a way that they check, because if you look at somebody like Echesa, he went through vetting in Parliament, and yet he still got the appointment. What background check were they really doing for him to get appointed in the first place? And what goes that it's somebody who has not even who has not gone past Form 4. How then did they come up that this person is fit to be a cabinet secretary? So at the end of the day, I think Parliament, if our institutions were strong enough and were independent enough, and I think one of the things that we should be looking at should be to strengthen our institution and to strengthen the separation of powers between the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive, for them to work together but still remain independent at the end of the day. Because if you look, like there was an issue with the appointment of judges, and the president refused to appoint these judges, and they had been submitted by the judiciary. That tells you a lot, that is in this country there is no independence of our institutions. And if in the BBI bill, if there is something that should have been looked at and strengthened, is the independence of our institutions. Because the legislature will be able to, the legislature, the judiciary will all be able to provide checks and balances for each arm of the government, because they have to work together at the end of the day. There's no way the judiciary can work independently and not depend on the executive. There's no way the legislature can work independently and not rely on the executive. But remember, when we were coming up with this BBI bill, it was taken to the people. The commission that was tasked, that was led by the late Senator Haji, went around the country collecting views. And if you look at the first BBI bill that came up, all the people who submitted their proposals were at the back of at the back of that document. All people who submitted their proposals. So you see, people are making a lot of noise now. But when they were given a chance to give their views, to provide proposals, they were silent.
Okay.
And I remember when we were doing these proposals, us as the youth, we did a bill that said we need a youth commission, because as it stands right now, what is it called? The National Youth Council. There's nothing that it does that looks into the matters of the youth, but a youth commission that is anchored in the constitution, and a youth commission that is independent, that is working with with ministries that have relevant bodies that are in line with the youth. They will work together with the youth commission. Look at the same way we have a gender commission, the same way we have the national cohesion. Now we need to have an independent youth commission, not one that needs to go through the ministry. Like now we have the NYC that is under the Ministry of ICT, because the youth docket was moved to the Ministry of ICT. It is not independent. It does not have its own budget. There is nothing much it can be able to do. And that is why it has become sort of obsolete. Yes, there is a person who heads the National Youth Council. But what is it that the National Youth Council does for the youth? Nothing. Nothing. So at the end of the day, let us remember that this bill came from the people.
Okay.
It did not come from the executive, as people are trying to say. It did not come from the executive. Because if you remember, Haji went round all over the country. All over the country. And each and every people were given a chance to give their proposals. Those people who are making noise right now, did they make a proposal to the task force that was not adopted? That is those are some of the things that we need to be talking about if we want to be progressive. Because if you sat down and did nothing, yet people who did their proposal and they were adopted and they have been brought and the bill has come out, then why are you complaining? But when you had a chance to give proposals that could be progressive to this country, and you did not give them, then why are you complaining now? Because you had the chance to do it. The same way when it comes to vote to elections, you vote or you choose not to vote.
Then you complain later.
And then you complain later. It does not make sense.
Okay.
It does not, especially if you did not vote. You know, if you voted, you can hold somebody accountable because you voted for them. But if you just sat down and did not vote, or say you're never going to vote, then why question whatever is going in the country? Because you're not exercising your rights as a person to question, to have the mandate to question. You chose a representative, and you chose a representative, and you need to hold them accountable. And I've seen people talking about representation and how can we go about equitable representation without increasing the constituencies. There is no way to go around it because it's anchored in the constitution, and the only way to change it is to go back to the people. Do you want to increase more? Do you want to increase the constituencies? Is what we have working for you? If it is not, take it to the people. If they decide it's not working, let us increase the constituencies. Let us cater for those people who feel that the the current sharing of resources is not equitable to them. Because come to a place like Keharo, and if there's one thing that I have to give my member of parliament, he has really, really tried. And even if we don't subscribe to the same politics, if we go to the ballot today, I will still give him my vote because I voted for him. Has he done what I elected him to do? Yes, he has. But we have to come come away from this politics of if you don't agree with me, or rather, if I don't subscribe to your politics, I can't
then we are enemies.
Then we are enemies. No, we are not enemies. At the end of the day, there's what I believe in, there's what you believe in. But once we come to delivery of services, you are given a mandate by the people. Deliver, and that's just it. And also, you will see people saying that in their constituencies, people are learning under trees. I will not tell you a single school in Keharo constituencies that we have children learning under trees.
Yeah. I think it's done well with schools, by the way. It's done well.
Why? Because my member of parliament is using the funds that are allocated by the CDF to construct classrooms. He's lobbying to the national government through the Ministry of Education to have his people allocated resources. But if you elect somebody who does not even care about the people in the grassroots, then
the constituency also will be useless.
Yes, it will be useless at the end of the day.
Okay. All right. Mushendu, I want us to have a conversation on, as we are heading to a tail end, as ukifunga hii kazi. Let's talk about obedience of law, or by the executive and the government. Mwaura has been kicked out by Lusaka actually gazetted. Lusaka gazetted the removal of Mwaura, and the courts had given orders that he should be reinstated until the case is heard. As we speak, Mwaura is out in the cold. What do you think about the obedience of court orders, or obedience of law, the constitution? Janet also brought out something about the president. He has ignored the judiciary. Right now it's functional at the appeal court because you don't have the judges sitting there that you're supposed to approve. And he has gone ahead and approved the recent vetting that we were talking about, the CJs and the Supreme Court judge that we had the other day. Even as we speak about changing the constitution, how do we deal with the culture? Because the same people who are telling us we change the constitution are the ones who are propagating the culture of disobedience of law. Mwaura is out in the dark. He is in the cold right now. The courts have directed he should be reinstated. He has not been. The Senate has gazetted his removal. Where then do we argue law?
I think first of all you have to agree that...
Microphone.
You have to agree that yesterday was date what?
11th.
Date 11.
Yes.
So let's see. For the case of Mwaura, the judgment was issued. The court order was issued yesterday.
It was an extension. There was another standing order that had been given. That so this was just an extension of the same.
I think what we have in our parliament is what I would call to gatekeepers.
Okay.
Both speakers of the houses of parliament are both gatekeepers, because I think for me, listening to James Orengo argue the case that both houses of parliament needed to amend the constitutional amendment bill 2020, and listening to the judgment or the ruling made by J.B. Muturi and Ken Lusaka, I see nothing short of gatekeepers in the National Assembly and in the Senate. And I fear and I feel for the Senate, because one Ken Lusaka, he of the famous carcinogenital wheelbarrows, I think has been fixed, and guns are blazing on him. You don't say what we want you to say, and we are going to fire. So I think that is the predicament of the speaker. The speaker is a compromised speaker that is issuing rulings and giving gazette notice in accordance to instructions from the executive. On the case of J.B. Muturi, for those who have been around for a very long time in politics, knows that he's a personal buddy of the president from back in the years when he was a magistrate. You know, before becoming the MP for, was it Siakago? is it Siakago? Yes, I think it's Siakago, if I'm not mistaken. Before becoming the MP, he was a magistrate, and they have been friends with the president for a very long time. So I don't really always expect him to make decisions that will upset the executive. But I will also say this. We are talking about passing BBI, which is a proposed amendment of a certain set of laws, that are supposed to benefit this country. But the same executive that is propagating and that is advancing the issues of BBI have failed. The other day, I counted to you about 1,200 court orders against government that has not been followed, including the one of Miguna. Including today, I'll tell you, in Limuru constituency around where I come from, I know of 6 cases that were presented to the Court of Appeal in 2017, but they have not progressed because of the shortage of Court of Appeal judges. The president has been presented with a number of nominees. Was it 2 years ago, Bitok? Around 2 years ago. Yeah. Was presented with a number of nominees from the Judicial Service Commission that is by law mandated to interview and pass names of the people they think should serve well in those courts. But the president has failed to actually appoint either of them. Not only appoint, give what we call, if you're given names by the Judicial Service Commission, Bitok, and the president is not satisfied with the work done, you are supposed to take those names and do a leaf over and take it back to the judiciary and tell them what you think they should do. And then there ought to be a conversation between you and the JSC on the way forward. But what the president did was just sit on the names. Okay. Isn't that abdication of justice to the people of Kenya? I know of a legal land case in Limuru that is hanging in balance at the Supreme Court, at the Court of Appeal, because there is no Court of Appeal judge who has been allocated that case. Because the only existing Court of Appeal judges that are there have not been able to exhaust the workload that has already been allocated to them. Come to the High Court. Do you know how many land cases in this country, Bitok, are lying in the High Court? In Kiambu alone, we have over 2,000 cases that have not been adjudicated. Why? Because we have the scarcity of judges, and His Excellency the President has categorically refused to actually appoint judges or give a feedback to the JSC and tell them this is what you need to do. The other thing is, we have an attorney general, because when you have government not obeying the laws, Bitok, the first person who is the the respondent, is the attorney general. Okay. We have an attorney general that I am personally going to go to the court to actually ask for what we call a judicial review of the cases he adjudicated when he was the judge of the High Court. Because his behavior as the Attorney General of this republic is wanting. The kind of issues he is adjudicating are things that I actually asking myself, was he actually fit to be a judge? Today, we have the row between Kenya and Somalia. We have talked about it this year. Do you think this was an issue that was supposed to be where it is today? No. We have an attorney general that when the case of the border between Kenya and Ethiopia was taken to the international court, he did not even dare appeal by the fact that one of the sitting judges in the international court, Bitok, is from Somalia. He did not argue that case in court. He did not question why we have a sitting judge with a vested interest on a matter that is of a very serious nature, like the one between us and Ethiopia, and people should not be between us and Somalia, and people should not take this as a joke. Bitok. If this way, I know you have quite a vested interest on marine laws. If this case goes the way we think it is going to go, and that is against us, it means that we have opened a can of worms where people will start now discuss the issue of the marine space of Kenya. We Bitok people should know that our coastline was never part of the British protectorate.
Okay.
So I think for me is that it is a joke. It is a joke. It is a joke. We are talking about BBI. We are talking about setting new sets of laws that are supposed to move this country forward. But the same people who are expected to implement are the same people who have categorically refused to obey court orders.
Okay.
Mwaura went to, there is a process that started with the party, and I agree that the party is exercising its space as the ruling party and the party that nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura. But then the party, there is a reason why we have the tribunal, the party's tribunal in the High Court. It is supposed to adjudicate between the party and the affected person. But this government has ignorantly and intentionally refused to obey court orders. As much as I cannot speak on behalf of the party and I cannot speak on behalf of Mwaura, I know that the party's tribunal is supposed to address, and the High Court is supposed to interpret how the political parties are supposed to implement the Political Parties Act. And therefore, they are also supposed to reason to what the courts are saying. Okay. If the courts are saying, and the courts have not said, do not send Mwaura home. They have not said it. They have not adjudicated themselves to that. They have not adjudicated that matter. They are saying, before we are actually address ourselves to this issue and its finality, the status quo must remain. Mwaura must remain. I think I saw him in the assembly yesterday.
Yeah, he was voting yesterday.
And he is actually voted. So therefore, I'm expecting that
he actually voted, yeah, so maybe he'll be vindicated.
Yes. So I am actually hoping that because it was very funny, because if you look at the Gazette notice, it's saying that the seat became vacant on 7th of May. And yesterday was...
he should have been Parliament? I don't know.
He should not have been Parliament if the vacancy occurred on 7th of May. So probably we may assume that particular court order was taken to the clerk of the Senate, and the clerk of the Senate took notice of the judicial orders and probably vacated the Gazette notice. We don't know. But we are expecting that we will have another special Gazette notice today.
Since the contest, I think the only contest he has been having with the party is BBI. So if he now agrees with BBI, then we should hope that he should be vindicated.
And that tells you, that vindicates me when I tell you that the politics of Kenya lacks a very important quality of politics, and that it lacks political hygiene.
Okay. What do you think about disobedience of laws and orders and the constitution?
One thing I think why there is a rampant disobedience of the court orders, it is because our courts have been seen to be politicized. They are seen to be taking political sides. Like there is this particular judge who seems to be leaning on this other side. There is this particular judge who's leaning on this other side. So when that judge comes up with a judgment that is against the government, that is against the executive will fight back. Because they are saying this person is just doing this because we do not agree politically. Look at if you look at especially when you look at the case of Mwaura, Senator Mwaura is a nominated senator. And by the fact that you're nominated by the majority, by the ruling party, which is Jubilee, that means you have to advance the party's agenda. That is why if there is a motion to be voted in, your vote is not one of those that needs to be whipped. Because at the end of the day, you're in that seat, courtesy of your party. It should be a direct vote. And you have a party leader. So you should toe the line of your party leader at the end of the day. So when you see courts now trying to look like there's a tug of war between the executive and the judiciary, it's only because our courts have come out like they are taking this particular judge is taking this political side, this other judge is taking this political side, and this comes back to the independence of our courts at the end of the day.
Then is your comment not in threat of the independence?
Sorry?
Is your comment not in threat of the independence?
No, it's not in threat of the independence because if our courts were seen to be impartial,
How do you tell when
were
someone is making a
perceived
political
to be
decision?
impartial. You see, it's the general perception.
Okay.
If our courts are perceived to be impartial, and they are working not against the executive, because the idea of having the three arms of government, it's for them to work together, not for them to work against each other.
But to check
Because-
also, because
yeah, to check
the
checks
judiciary
and balances.
cannot just
Yes,
because you're
it's
saying
to check checks
Muchende,
and balances.
give, Janet up.
It's to check checks and balances. But checking, having to check checks and balances does not mean the executive has to be in war with the judiciary. No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It only means that the executive and the judiciary should work together. They're advisors from the executive. They're advisors from the judiciary. Let them work together on a common agenda. Let them come together and see this works for us. This works for both arms of the government. And at the end of the day, the checks, there will be checks and balances. But now when we try to put it like the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature should be at war, then we are fighting a losing war. We are fighting a losing war. So what we should encourage our arms of government is to
Collaborate.
To collaborate.
But not at the expense of law.
No, not at the expense of law. But also we should have our parliament to be impartial. If you were asked today, is our parliament impartial? What would be your
It's
answer?
not, and I think that the biggest problem also is this narrative of political parties that we
Exactly.
must whip you because you're nominated. You must speak a voice of the party. Because
but,
when you look at
but
democracy,
also, if-
you look at
no,
because there's a danger.
remember-
There's a danger in this, Janet. Because look at this now. We're going to have 180 more nominated members of parliament in BBI. Now, when you subscribe to that nominated members does not have brains of their own, like they have to be whipped by the party politics and all that, then where is the space of democracy? Because I should be allowed, even if I'm nominated, I should be allowed to say that I agree or disagree with this. The danger of having this, when you talk about having numbers, when you talk about numbers in parliament, now we'll be having even more numbers in parliament of nominated members of parliament. So when you talk about meeting a simple majority, for instance, then parties can whip against a normal tide. Let's talk about, there was an issue of increasing taxes. There was a time when we had a problem with nay and ayes, where the speaker insisted that actually the ayes or whatever it is had taken the vote when it was clear that the no was resounding voting. So where do you think then the balance would come in this?
You see, Bitok, at the end of the day, you have to remember, parliament is a political that's a political setting. And when you say that the votes need not be whipped, then why should a party campaign for its people? Why should a party popularize itself to have a majority of the people in parliament? It would not make sense. A party wants to have a majority of people in parliament, or rather the ruling party want to have a majority of the people in parliament, because there is business in parliament, sometimes even advanced by the president, that the presidents need 1, 2, 3 things done. How exactly will he be able to do that, whereas he cannot be able to whip his own people in his party? Why then do we have a majority whip in parliament? Why do we have a minority whip? What is the role of these people? It is because there's business, there are party interests in parliament. At the end of the day, that's a political setting.
And whipping is persuasion.
Yes, it's persuasion. It's
so
persuasion.
In this case where they're saying it's either agree with us or you're out, that's not persuasion. That's intimidation. So
And
whipping
now,
is me convincing you, Janet, that please agree with us, that vote for us for this and this and these reasons. But not telling you, if you're not agreeing with me, then are you out of this? Because then it lacks merit. Then parliament lacks merit, because then it means it does not have any democratic contents in it.
you see, like now we had the BBI bill that the government was in support, and it was whipping its people to support the bill. I have not seen anybody telling my MP that, you know what, we are going to remove you from the party. There's nobody who
I'm
has
talking about
done.
nominated, whatever.
But you see, when you are a nominated,
By default, you are a
you are a
voice of the party.
nominated member of parliament. You are not nominated by the people. You are nominated by the party.
Okay.
By the party. And it's by default that you're supposed to advance the party's agenda. Then it would not make sense that the people who are usually nominated come from the parties with the most people with the most elected people. It would not make sense for you to be nominated under a party.
Okay, done. All right.
It would not make sense for you to be nominated under a party. You would be nominated as an individual from from
From
nowhere,
anywhere.
from
You're coming
anywhere, where you're not representing any party, then that time you can be able, you can say that this person was exercising their own rights. But now, when you are a nominated member by a party, then why would you bite a hand that feeds you at the end of the day?
Okay.
And if you look at the case of Mwaura, it was a disciplinary issue. There's no way I give you a job talk, and then I see you in public rallies insulting me or insulting my family. Why would you do all these things at the end of the day? Yet I have given you a job. Why? And you still want to say that you work for me? And then I saw he wrote whatever yesterday, a Facebook post yesterday saying that he respects all leaders. Was that really respect when he was doing that?
Okay.
It was not respect, because I think we need to sanitize our politics.
Okay.
Because this thing of spewing hate and whatnot, they should just stop, because these are the things that make us go have election violence. These are the things that will make me see you as an enemy if we are not we do not subscribe to the same politics.
Okay.
Why should I see you as an enemy? At the end of the day, you have a right to believe in what you believe in, and I have a right to believe in what I believe in, and that should be just it. That should not mean that we are enemies at the end of the day.
Lastly, Janet, why do you think the president has refused to approve the judges?
Sorry?
Why do you think the president has not approved the charges? I'll not use the word refuse, because I don't know if he has refused. But why do you think he has not approved them? Especially when you want to talk about the impartiality of the executive and the judiciary and independence.
To be honest, I am not the president. I do not speak for him. I would not even try.
What's your feeling? What do you think about
I would not even try to speak for him.
But what are your thoughts on it?
But if I were the president, if I was to put myself in the shoes of the president, I'd believe him not approving the judges. He must have his own reasons.
Which is, what could justify them?
I honestly
because
don't.
I
am not the president. I would honestly don't know. And exactly, he has not talked about it. So I wouldn't know.
It's 2 years down the line.
Are
you not concerned as a Kenyan who would be seeking justice?
Of course, as a normal Kenyan, it's something that should concern me.
Okay.
As a normal Kenyan, it's something that should actually be of concern to me, because if a president does not approve judges, whose names are submitted by the JSC, then I think there should be a reason for that, or rather, we should be given a reason for not approving the judges. Okay. I don't want to speak for the president. I believe he has his own reasons why he has not approved the judges.
Why don't you believe then that the judiciary has their own reasons for making judgments, and you believe the executive should have reasons for not doing the things right?
It goes back to my earlier submissions, Bitok. The judiciary seeming to be not impartial. And also the executive seeming like it's coercing the other arms of government to toe in line. And also the legislature seeming to, I don't want to use the word fear of the executive. Okay. I don't want to use that word. It goes back to these three arms of government finding a way to work together. Because look at during Kibaki's government, were the arms not working together? They were working together, and peacefully so. So why is it now that the three arms of government cannot be able to work together? Okay. I think that should be more of an internal affair in the three arms. It should be like an internal affair in the three arms.
They should have tea and come.
Yes, exactly. They should just have
all right,
tea.
I hope they'll not sacrifice us while they're having tea.
I don't think it will be sacrificed, because we are not saying.
Because again,
we are not saying that the judiciary should follow what
should
the
be at the BS of the executive.
We are not saying that. Okay. We are just saying they should just craft a way
of working together.
Making sure.
But in Kenya, you're crafting the normal. You're crafting.
Making sure that they're still checking.
Each other.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you, guys. Checks and balances.
The only thing that both the executive and the judiciary are supposed to do is actually to bring the human side of exercising the role. There is nothing to be crafted. The role is very articulate, and it is very clear on what is the responsibility of the judiciary, what the responsibility of the executive, and what is the responsibility of parliament. Okay. It is the reason why both the government and the judiciary have to bring their budget to parliament, because parliament is the representation of the people. And the people have to allocate these two arms of government the money to do what they need to do. So therefore, I think for me, one of the things that I have a problem with, and I have always insisted, is that the judges should not be the prerogative of the president to appoint. The prerogative of the president is to appoint the president of the judiciary. That is the Chief Justice. Today, Bitok, I am of the opinion, and I think that is where me and my colleague part ways. I am of the opinion that the executive, the cabinet of this country, should be reverting back to being picked from parliament. I believe that one of the reasons why Kebake was able to work seamlessly and without hitches, it was, number one, the people he picked were members of parliament who were democratically elected by the people. So their likability and their endorsement by the members of the public became easy. Because these are people elected, either you are elected from Mombasa or you are elected from Kiambu, you go to the National Assembly, your acceptance by the people and your approval rating becomes more firm, becomes more attainable, because you are a person who has been trusted by a certain set of citizens in this republic. Today, we have people who are being picked from private sectors to become CS, and they have no idea how to deal with political office, because as much as we want to run away, being a minister or being a cabinet minister is a political responsibility you are undertaking. And we are appointing people with no capacity to fathom how to deal with the politics of the day. And therefore, they end up actually making the work of the president difficult. And I keep insisting, today, why do we entrust why do we go to the vote to actually elect the Republic of Kenya? It is us giving him the power and the responsibility to run government. Why then do we still need our representative to come and actually dictate to him who you will appoint to be this and to be that? That's my argument. Is that the only power we should live with parliament, it is actually to bring motions of no confidence. Let the president pick his picks. Let his picks be given the responsibility. And if they fail, our representative do away with him. President, we gave you an opportunity to bring a team that is going to work and deliver for our people. This one has not delivered. Let's send him home. Bring another one. But when we put a handle for the president that his appointees have to go through the process, I'll simply say this. When Monica Juma was not okayed by Parliament, and you listen to the members of Parliament running right and center in the media, the reasons why, they were giving very silly reasons that we go to the OP and he makes us wait, as if Monica Juma was going to the office to wait to serve the MPs. In case if the MP wants to be served, he knows the process to use. So I am of the opinion that indeed members of the cabinet be members of parliament. Let them be picked. Let this parliament, if somebody fails to deliver, the same way in Tanzania, what happens? If you do not deliver, parliament has the power to kick you out. And I think that for me makes it easier. Yes, makes it easier for us to question the president on his appointee, rather than asking him and him saying that parliament did this and this. Now, of course, I'll cross the work with asking the people of Kiambaa not to make the same mistakes we see in Juja. I keep on saying, I come from Mount Kenya Shepherds with my colleague here. We have someone running for Kiambaa constituency. Wakili Munyui is running, and I want to ask Jubilee Party, and I want to ask them, if they do not want to see the mess we are currently witnessing in Juja, let them learn away from awarding families of the bereaved. Let them pick candidates based on loyalty, based on performance, based on credibility. And that way, they might just salvage Jubilee Party in the mountain and specifically in Kiambu County. But if Jubilee continues to award family members, we are going to have a serious problem like we are having today in Juja. A sitting governor, a former governor, members of parliament are camping there day and night to actually deal with one MP called Moses Kuria, who has picked a candidate and has run a very crazy campaign in Juja. And if they do the same in Kiambaa constituency, they can expect the same fireworks. So let them make it easy. And I was not sent here by Munyui and company, but I believe that Jubilee has the capacity to appoint people who have been loyal to its party, people who have worked for that party. They should nominate someone, and once they nominate.
So now you're working for Jubilee again. Anyway,
I'm not working for Jubilee. I'm not working for Jubilee and talk. Do not dismiss me in that subjective manner.
Because you're focusing on Jubilee candidates.
I'm not Jubilee. I'm just saying, if Jubilee candidate makes a mistake, and I will, for avoidance of doubt, that I am not supporting any Jubilee candidate when it comes to the by-election, but I'm simply saying that the Jubilee should make its work easier and nominate people who actually have shown loyalty to the party. I am not loyal to Jubilee. I'm actually not a member of Jubilee party. So I'm just saying,
when did you stop?
Nominate someone. Nominate someone who we can compete with him on a level playing ground, not just awarding families.
My
submissions on that issue about the elections and the party supporting family members. This would be this is what I'd say. I do not think it is right for a party to support a candidate on the mere fact that they are related to the deceased. It is not right. I don't think it's even moral to do that. Okay. But then again, you cannot take away the right of a person who knows what exactly they are doing, who knows why it is they are vying for that particular seat. You cannot take it away from them just because a member of their family had been elected. Okay. At the end of the day, it does not mean that if my father was an engineer, I cannot become an engineer simply because that my father was an engineer. It does not work that way.
So it cuts both ways.
It just cuts both ways. Let's just elect people who can deliver. Like the way Mushendu is saying, in Kiambaa, we have Charles Munyui. We also have a lady called Damaris Wamboi. But can you say that you will not elect Damaris simply because she's related to the late Paul Koinange? You cannot take it away from her. You cannot say that she cannot run for elective office simply because a relative of hers was elected. It is not also right. So let's just have people who can deliver to their constituents. Let's have people who know exactly why they are vying. Let people go to the ground. Let them campaign. Mwenye atashinda, ashinde.
Okay. Thank you guys. It was a pleasure having you. Karibu sana, Janet. I hope you'll come back again.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Mushendu, asante kwa kuja. The Takla Zobin do that. Thank you so much. Ulikuwa mwanga tufungue bunge lakini hatuwezi kwa sababu ya wakati. We really appreciate. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your comments have been noted. Thank you for having a conversation with us. It has been a pleasure having you. And I hope to have you again tomorrow, Thursday, Diaspora Edition. Pia kutakuwa na kunaendelea na siasa pia kesho. Friday ni holiday, kwa hivyo hatutakuwa na sheria wiki. Lakini we have to see you again tomorrow on to tackle. And also we want to appreciate those guys who are advertising with us. You can advertise with us. Kama unataka kupiga advertisement. Our numbers today, I think they should be heading to 19 million today. So anyway, if you want to advertise with us, afadhali tuandikie message ama tuweze kupigia simu 0731027727. Maridadi Motors kama kawaida inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuingiza gari yako kwa bei nafuu zaidi. When you import with Maridadi Motors, you get to save up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings. When you import direct imports with Maridadi Motors, you get to save up to 300,000. Maridadi Motors mahali wapo ni Thika Road, Kiambu Road opposite Total Ridgeways. Kiambu Road opposite Total Ridgeways. Kimbia pale uweze kupata deal safi sana. Ukienda useme bitoka amekutuma ndio utaweza kupata discount zaidi. Na pia inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuweka akiba kwenye Maridadi Motors sako. If you want to save money in a sako and we need to revive the saving culture, you can save on Maridadi Motorcycle. And on top of it, if you want to get a car through the sako, you save up to 50% of the value of the car. unapata gari yako alafu unaweza kuendesha ukilipa hiyo asilimia nyingine 50 mdogo mdogo. Mwendani Motors pia inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuinvest, inaitwa import to sell model, where you get to invest your money, put in, and Mwendani Motors, they get to import a vehicle for you, they trade with the money, and they give you 15%, at least 15% returns on your investment. 15% returns on your investment. Alafu pia kuna pale mahali inaitwa Sparkling Motor Spa, Siata Mall pale nyuma. Ukienda pale uoshe gari yako, inaoshwa vizuri sana. Ukisema mtu unabitoka unapata pia discount yako safi pia. Alafu kuna watu wa airtime ambao inaitwa watu wa credit. Kama mtu anao anatumianga credit yako na inunua through Baybill, unaweza kununua airtime yako through Swift Airtime. Swift Airtime unaweza kulipa na Baybill, namba enda pale kwa Baybill, Baybill and business number 325325. Alafu account nambari yako ya simu, unaweza kununua credit yako ya airtime Airtel, ikuwe ni Telcom, ikuwe ni Safaricom. Na pia kama uko na Fuliza, pia unaweza kununua airtime through Fuliza, sio lazima uko na balance kwa account yako. 325325 account number is your number. Unaweza dunga, tunakula mpaka Fuliza. Unaweza pia kununua mpaka tokens ya stima. Kama pia unataka kufanya delivery, kama unafanya delivery zako, kuna watu wa Zigo. Zigo ni watu ambao wanapa nafasi ya kuweza kufanya delivery Nairobi haraka upesi sana. Motorbike Zigo inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kufanya delivery. Zigo unaweza tafuta pale Zigo, umeona kwenye screen yako. Zigo inakupa nafasi ya kuweza kufanya delivery zako haraka upesi. Delivery ndio doorstep. Ukiweka order mahali kama ni chakula kama nini, basi wanakuletea mpaka kwenye mlango yako. That is Zigo, we deliver. It's been a pleasure. Thank you again and see you tomorrow. These are Tackle and Tackle Ends now. Bye bye and take care. Signing out.